Hey there, it's Alex. I'm gonna do another. We're gonna do another AJH Daily Defensives. It's gonna be AJH Daily Defensives, June 15th, 2019. Uh, yeah, we're gonna talk about some stuff that's been happening. The last time that I did one of these, I think it was about 10 days ago. So we got a lot to talk about, a lot of different things we're gonna run down, and I create these videos to sort of talk about some of the defensive aspects in regards to the spirit realm and ways to defend yourselves in regards to interacting with the spirit and things of that nature. My process at times has been a bit different than, I guess, the regular physical psychic on this physical earth, at least for what's acceptable, I guess, to a certain extent. But I think it is different. I know that there is different kinds of interaction in regards to being a psychic, especially a physical. Um, I'm not saying that there isn't that sort of strange interaction that's process specific. Within mine, though, I would sort of like to let know that there's certain kinds of conflict and turbulence happening at times without affecting certain kinds of mentality and energies within the spirit realm by way of creating a video and uploading it online in potentially multiple upload platforms. There is sometimes an impact that happens. Not only is the spirit able to interact with some of those videos and content experiences and things of that nature, and sometimes should in a certain manner, depending on some of the events listed, and even just interacting with people. But I do feel like there is an importance at times in regards to letting know of this information. Um, and one of the things that I've noticed at times is certain spirit trying to label certain content as dangerous. Now, at what point, how do you deal with interaction, with recording, with letting know of events that are taking place, especially if it does involve turbulence, warfare, conflict, even within the confines of a psychic process, even within the confines of certain kinds of safeties in play? How do you and are you able to let know of certain events like that while still holding a certain kind of caution tape and saying that, yeah, this process can be turbulence. The viewers there should be a certain kind of safety framework in play. At what point, how do you traverse those lines, specifically if there are some who are trying to label it dangerous to then, walk past something that exists that should be seen in a certain context? When you're dealing with spirit gods, events that have impacted so many at times behind the scenes, how do you let know some of this stuff? And I don't know what the question is to that fully. Some people, one of the things in regards to that lately is that sort of thing that says certain kind of limitation in regards to spirit channeling through, and there's that sort of excuse sort of utilized in a certain fashion to say that some psychics at times don't deserve to have certain kinds of information to a certain extent. That sort of thing doesn't really fly in my book. I mean, in this process, it looks a certain way and it just doesn't look good. That's the truth of it. That's the real truth. Is by way of not necessarily caring as much as some should have in regards to channeling and that sort of thing within the spirit at times and elsewhere. It just looks like any Tom, Dick, and Harry, sort of channeling through in certain instances, and maybe it doesn't look like that at all, but it still does look like that in a certain kind of sense. But then that sort of thing that happens where it's like, oh yeah, well the channeling's causing so much problems. Why aren't you looking at it? And then the flipping of the script, saying, oh okay, well we'll look at it, and then the sort of blocking of decent information regarding it matters greatly. And it really is one of those tactics from certain spirit at times in regards to channeling, letting information through, that sort of stuff, which really shouldn't be happening. You take a look at it from a certain lens, and it just looks a certain way at times, and it's one of the things sort of knocking at the doors in regards to certain turbulence and conflict in the spirit that pertains to some of the events that are happening, some of the stuff that's unfolding. Uh, Yeah, I think that an understanding regarding that certain psychic information should not be blocked in certain manners, that certain psychics should be receiving information in regards to it, utilization of that sort of thing in regards to other psychics processes and that sort of thing, I think should be understood to not be decent in regards to the sort of the new line in regards to the channeling today. It is specific to June 14th and June 15th in a certain manner, a certain context, that sort of thing. It says, um, I've said it before, the aiming of my communication. If we have streams of information, being said when we talk, that aiming of those streams, the streams that Main Spirit Guides indicated to where Main Spirit Guides indicated, it matters greatly, especially if we're potentially, if there's some who are raising pitches to cause harm. This is a big one. Certain spirits trying to utilize certain kinds of physical voice when we speak, to harm spirits behind the scenes, to then say that's some sort of reason to attack us when there's potentially a 90 percentile in regards to physical earth-based that is innocent in the manners that makes guys needed, and another percentage that's fairly decent in the ways that makes guys needed. And not to say that those that aren't in either respect deserve to be attacked or harmed, because they don't. I mean, if you promote immorality, yeah, I don't see how you deserve to be attacked. I'm sorry. It just doesn't, I don't know, it just doesn't hit home for me. That's just one of those old lines. So yeah, I'll talk about some of the events that's happening, but I guess one of those lines in regards to communication is speaking of some of the events that have happened in regards to the 13th and 14th, I'm advocating for the frameworks that Maine guys need in regards to communication and information that Maine guys need to be protected. The Maine guys need light, far light, setting that Maine guys need light. I and others, Divine Main Spirit Guides, consider the light, far light, setting that Main Spirit Guides indicating the light to be that in which my main spirit guides indicated in the original light, the way my main spirit guides indicated in the original light. So, I think in understanding that what we consider something to be respected is important. I think that sort of ignoring, that sort of just shuffling under the rug, certain authorities and non-authorities, just ignoring how certain people feel. And then, all the things that cause and have happened in regards to saying that's why they're around in regards to certain spiritual. When it looks like there's a large percentage of that being invoked by those saying that that's the reason why they're here, it makes no sense. Letting this planet go in a certain kind of manner pertaining to situating and anchoring in as well as others from its guides in a certain respect, I think needs to be understood. But maybe we wouldn't feel that way if there was enough defense and protection in play to a certain extent. Maybe some of us wouldn't be going to the original light and bothering some up there in certain manners if we were receiving the defense that we needed. It's not that extreme of a line to consider spiritual defense to be a large priority. When you get attacked, if someone attacks you, you defend yourself in a certain manner. And if you're not being defended, if there's not certain kinds of groups defending you in a certain kind of way, to lament upon something getting through, whatever it be, whatever levels of that sort of thing that happens, where it's like, well, someone's going to get attacked from afar. If you protect this person here, so then you got to pull off, go do something else, or whatever the heck it is. Not good enough. And just situating all that is how I feel, or just moving us away from any of that. So, none of that can be in a certain manner. I don't really understand how that works in certain spirit. I know that I'm supposed to be placed somewhere else. Those that mean spirit guides indicated are supposed to be placed in the areas that mean spirit guides indicated. And at times it just hasn't been. I've had the interaction where I feel like I'm in some sort of brimstone place at times, and partially by way of how I speak, by way of the conversation, by way of what I talk about. I do speak of certain kinds of immorality because I know of certain immoralities, and my experiences point towards certain kinds of immorality taking place. So in and of itself, the talking of it, and then the exacerbating of certain kind of ripple effect action economics, that sort of thing, sort of being taken out of context, utilized in a certain fashion. The natural flow of things, I don't even know if we can even look at and say that it's the natural flow of things to a certain extent, by way of the amount of affecting and an augmentation pertaining to the economics, actions, etc. To find spirit guides, that sort of thing. Again, this is an aspect of the spirit realm that potentially exists in certain manners. People look at the spirit world, and I want that mindset, that viewpoint to be safeguarded in the ways that main spirit guides indicated. It's a decent. I hold multiple viewpoints. I believe in multiple things. Where on one side they might believe in some of it, and the other side might believe in others. Other points, there are things like that where you look at two banners, two groups, two cultures, and you say, I believe in a lot of things that they believe in, some of which that they don't. So it's just one of those things, and it's not the only thing. A certain kind of labelment, again, has sort of taken place in regards to certain culture this past 2 weeks. I'll talk about it a bit, and it's interesting that I recorded it on the 5th, and that was also it. So I don't know if these are like streamlining of events. I upload an AJH Daily Defensives on YouTube, or I put an Alex James Hislop diary entry on YouTube and things of that nature, where then something else happens where right after the whole script changes, it goes into something else. Is there someone else playing that process behind the scenes in a certain manner? Is there that kind of setup happening? I don't fully know, but it's fairly hectic at times and can be incoherent. Again, honesty, I feel might be a decent route. I mean, I don't understand. I'm playing it honest anyhow, in regards to myself and others for me, spirit guides, guys indicated. So those behind the scenes that are sort of trying to get me to lie in certain instances. And there is for what's acceptable. Just because someone's honest doesn't mean they have to tell about everything, doesn't mean they have to say of everything. Just one of those things, though, is that I know how I want to operate. It's in an honest fashion. And behind the scenes, when you have other dimensional selves and that sort of thing that exists, it does matter. I mean, you can imagine if you have another dimensional self that's sort of operating in a different fashion than you. Again, you can look at those lines of ethical as one of those sort of ways to say, whoa, that's that stark kind of like, whoa, you get a kind of a head area, like that's a big deal. If somebody was to attack behind the scenes, your other dimensional selves, if you get attacked, if they were to attack behind the scenes at times, would you take a look at that and say, why are we attacking in certain ways? Why is there that sort of thing happening when I do not want to be attacking in a certain manner? And of course, there's going to be some who label certain kinds of defense as attack, but that shouldn't be, some of it should not be considered. There is such a thing as offensive maneuvers in regards to defense work and things of that nature. There's also turbulence, spiritual warfare, and battle. Again, in some of the interaction I have sort of, makes it almost look upon that there is certain nations in the spirit. It's not just this sort of, it's not always talking about heavenly existences. And in fact, I try to talk about heavenly existences, but it's kind of difficult when there's a certain kind of interaction taking place. And that's a part of it. But still, I still feel like there is ways to be able to facilitate communications and information in certain kinds of ways. Again, I'll talk about it, here soon. It's the 13th and the 14th. There was certain kind of big events that happened. I sort of realized that upon certain kinds of events taking place, just, you can even look towards regular stuff at times, certain people winning championships, that sort of stuff, where there's a raising of level to a certain spot, where there's a spotlight on certain people, where there's an awareness level, and that sort of thing, where it's like, somebody wins an award and goes up to, award show ceremony and says, like, a certain kind of political statement. The pressure in regards to that. It's like, yes, good sire, I would rather not be attacked and harmed anymore. This is the thing of it. It's like, it's not just, chirping out some politician who's going a certain direction that we dislike. It's like literal battle warfare attack, protection and safety in regards to ourselves. Like, we'll see what we can do about that. But there's this sort of pressure at times in regards to some of them that's like, hush, hush, don't talk about, some of the bad stuff that's been happening to you and others. And it's like, we want to keep that, and at what point do you not take a look at that and just say, okay, well, I think we're in the wrong place here. Are we supposed to be here? Is this what our society, like, we're fairly peaceful. The physicals on this physical planet Earth are fairly peaceful. I know that there's a balance in regards to that and also a utilization in regards to that. But, quite honestly, in regards to some of us, we take a look at some of it and it's too much. I would say it is too much to a certain degree. And anyone sitting there saying that what he's saying on this content's too much, that's your tell right there. And we would say, like, okay, what he's saying on this content was too much for a certain authority not to attack behind the scenes in a certain spiritual kind of context. You'd sort of say, yeah, that's over the line. That would be how I feel about it. And, then you say, okay, well, if it's the behind the scenes information, then, hey, I printed out communication disclaimers in regards to myself. I have it online. I have it in multiple places. There's advocations on the walls. There's multiple different things I've done, to try and help and situate that. And, certain spirit don't want to listen to that. So you start to take a look and say, okay, well then, this person don't necessarily deserve to be harmed. And then you also take a look and say, well, how is this information at times in this process not needed to a certain degree? I mean, what would it have looked like if I don't have that to say that there was communication disclaimers printed off? Would that be a hitting would they hit me over the head with it if I didn't? Depends on if I was doing advocations and information work. I don't know. I don't think it's fair. That's the way I feel about it. It's not a conspiracy video, good sir. It's a let know, and to be quite honest, with some of the events that happen, I kind of feel like it's a bit of a status quo. That's how I feel. So we'll take a look at these past 7 days. 7 days? No, not 7 days. We're going past 10 days. 10 days is what we're looking for. So I'll go over here, go to my diary entries. I'm going to archive because it's in the archive currently. There we go. I had certain discussions this day in regards to certain kinds of forums. Talked about events, immorality, positivity, other kinds of subjects. Yeah, there was this sort of movement of a certain kind of conversation, a way of speaking in regards to discussing and talking. And I'd very much like to hear about some of the events as to why that sort of went away after a little bit, to a certain extent. I'm guessing that there was was there some turbulence involved in regards to it? Well, I know there's spirit guides are routing for defense, protection, healing, etc. Performance guides in regards to those that guys needed, the way guys needed. I apologize. Yeah, there was. This is open channeling spirit saying this, and this is the case of it. Yeah, so there was this sort of framework that came around me where it was like, okay, well, let's try it this way then. And we tried it in regards to a certain kind of way. And I did, yeah, I did put into play the AJH truthers information that guys needed yesterday, or was it today? It was today, early morning today. So yeah, okay. So yeah, so there was this sort of facilitation of, sorry, I just had to, I kind of felt like to interject that. I don't know, I kind of felt like that. So that was a move, though. It's a certain spirit asking that. That was a move. By putting that into play, then there's a certain, saying that in this moment, a certain kind of truth gets revealed in regards to some of the things that were happening in regards to it. And it basically looks as it seems. And that's basically what it is. Yeah, it looks as it seems to a certain degree. Well, okay. And that right there tells me that's not good enough. If there are gods protecting us, that's not only just it's a belief system down here in a certain manner, that God protects us in a certain manner. We don't consider that an outlaw in a certain kind of way. Well, then that doesn't mean that angry dark gods attacking us is okay, because that is not okay at all. We consider what main spirit guides indicated in regards to this marking application, etc. for main spirit guides. To be in the manners that main spirit guides indicated in regards to what main spirit guides indicated, the way main spirit guides indicated, light, fire, relate, setting that main spirit guides indicated, like do what main spirit guides indicated regarding the way main spirit guides indicated. And I am talking about that main spirit guides indicated, the way main spirit guides indicated. Okay, so that would be why. So yeah, there was this sort of discussion framework that kind of got moved to my vicinity. I kind of felt certain kind of discussions, forums, debates. It was really good. I'm not going to lie. I kind of felt like I was put on a certain kind of stage where certain kind of authority and leadership are sort of talking about big issues, things like that, because I'm one of those physicals on this physical planet Earth that is aware of some of the spiritual events happening and unfolding, is aware of certain kinds of psychic activity, is also aware that the cultures like this exist in a certain kind of manner. And I felt like there was some turbulence in regards to Earth leadership to a certain extent. There was a big line that was sort of pulled, and it's one of the big topic points today. Is there's a certain kind of conversation in which basically lamented upon Earth or an Earth leadership being vindicated in a big way. As to why certain groups, don't necessarily have to be around us in certain manners. That was one of them, but it's a specific talking point, a specific conversation point that had happened that I noticed yesterday. where someone brought something up in the heat of a certain kind of conversation. And again, there's an art to the conversation at times, an art to the debate. And we're bringing a certain card, a certain kind of point up in a certain manner, just hits home to such a degree, specifically with all the multipliers out there in regards to it. Light, power, light, setting that mates, guys, indicating light. Do what main spirit guides indicated in regards to the light, power, light, setting that mates, guys, indicating light, and do what main spirit guides indicated regarding those that main spirit guides indicated. The way Miss guys negated, especially in regards to the multipliers that Miss guys negated, the moments that Miss guys negated, the way Miss guys negated again. So we can take a look at that line and see, what is being suppressed in regards to that advocation. We can just see, the sort of, what does it look like? It looks like someone's not trying to make that point have home. So when it looks like something else, when it isn't something else, I don't know what else to tell you. It's a specific point in a certain context. So that's also it. That was one of the things that happened yesterday, but there was a multitude of things that happened on the 14th, 2019, and yeah, and the 15th, 2019, to be true, but also on the 13th as well. Multiple things happening this past week. The 11th was a big day. The 6th was a big day. Heck, I'm wondering what the hell happened on the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. I mean, that's kind of how I feel about it. That would be why. Well, that is the case. Okay, so another subject spoke of incarnational holding of personality traits and things of that nature. If there's traits being given to the young, and at a certain age, some of these traits are supposed to be given towards someone either by way of sponsors or authorities, etc. And what does that mean if there's a large percent of traits and mechanisms, etc., not going to where it needs to go partially? So you think about it in this context. Imagine that the qualities, traits, and things of that nature in regards to ourselves, imagine that some of it is interchangeable. That, on a day where we don't feel like playing games and things of that nature, or video games, that sort of stuff, and, another day we kind of feel like, I don't know if I feel like playing that, and your personality is a little bit, if you were to look at a personality that straight up only likes science, and that might be a part of, what some would consider a certain kind of overall personality. Imagine that there's multiple kinds like that. Imagine there's like 15 to 20 different kinds of, I guess some would call them, personality beings. Just imagine in other dimensional existences, certain kinds of personality being able to move in and out of certain kinds of spiritual infrastructure in which affects your behavior, your mentality, things of that. And I've sort of labeled some of them, you think about mentality, you think about personality. I sort of labeled some of them maladies. That's some of it. I mean, because there's other ones too. There's ones that we're not necessarily fully aware of. There's ones in regards to emotional infrastructure. There's a whole slew of them. And matter for the alities that makes us need, and the ality dimensions that makes us need to be protected and defended. The way makes us need light, power, light, setting them makes us need light. Continue to do what remains spirit guides need in regards to this market application, etc. Performance guides, and do what remains spirit guides need regarding the ality dimensions that makes us needed. The way makes us needed. One of those things where it's like, if that's one of those sort of influences to a certain extent that makes up who we are, that's a fairly big deal. I mean, how we operate, how we move, how we talk, how we speak, who we are is potentially impacted and affected by some of that. And that's some of it, but there's other ones too, spiritual mechanisms, certain kind of holdings in regards to ourselves, stuff that I don't even fully, comprehend in a certain kind of manner in regards to some of it. And that stuff, imagine that there's incarnational holdings in which is then passed on to someone else at a certain age. Imagine that's set up like pre-life, as per life path, that sort of thing. So, you talk about, in the spiritual communities, they speak of it, life path and that sort of thing, life direction. You can imagine preparing for your life preparation. Imagine that you make certain deals in regards to certain things. You're like, okay, so how about when I'm age 15, I purchase something spiritually from a certain group, I get a certain kind of trait, and then all of a sudden I go, closer to that direction that I want to be, which is, whatever it might have been. If someone wants to be a race car driver, or someone wants to be a spiritualist, things like that, where all of a sudden you have a certain trait and quality gets bestowed upon you when you're 15 or 16, whenever it happens to be. And 15, that year of when it needs to be matters potentially greatly, because there's certain windows of opportunity that sort of affect. I mean, we talked about communication, how important that is. Just one word in regards to speaking, affecting. Good sir, I'm out for clarifications right there. light far light saying that means Gus needed, like do what means Gus needed regarding that word infecting that means Gus needed and affecting that means Gus needed, and clarifications regarding the means Gus needed. So how important is it how we speak and where it's being directed to, especially in regards to communications? But the big thing in regards to communications again is what those that main spirit guides indicated are saying out there. Especially in regards to the past 2 days. There is communication and information sort of stuff happening abounds to a certain extent. It's one of those things, again, I noticed in regards to certain kind of championships being won, certain kind of spotlight, certain kind of movement, certain kind of, certain kind of interaction. I think about basketball. I think of certain kinds of interaction. I think about hockey. I think about certain kinds of, I think about IQ to a certain extent, but I also think about a certain kind of tasseling too, as well, like a little bit of wrestling, a little bit of fighting too. But it's not just that. I want to say communication for both, because that's what it's been. I've seen lines and themes in regards to sports, and I'm not going to lie, I see communication to a certain extent, but it's not just that. Again, something happened in regards to certain nature and things of that nature. I think within what was on the 14th, I woke up, I walked outside, and there was some talk in regards to certain kinds of things, and I'm advocating for that species that means guys need to be protected. The means guys need a lot of different things in regards to how important it is in regards to when we speak and that sort of stuff, and the safeguards in play, needing those resources at times, and you shouldn't have to need those resources in a certain degree. But regardless, it is important. So yeah, you talk about just a couple words, a couple sentences with the out loud voice in the mind could let know in regards to entire places. Imagine there's a big spirit sort of just says one word, and then all of a sudden, all of the city of Toronto can see a whole entire word, and hanging in the sky. I mean, there's dimensional existences and places and cities like that, behind the scenes spiritually, that potentially can view it that way and see it that way. I'm not saying that there isn't that for certain kind of aspects and dimensional aspects and personality and selves in regards to ourselves pertaining to the other dimensional. But in the physical, we sort of look around, and it's difficult to sometimes see visually. There is visual psychics out there. They exist in a certain context. And I am visual in certain manners, but, I don't necessarily see fully what's happening around me at times. So if you take a look at how important it is, just one moment, then that sort of thing, and getting those traits in the time frames that main spirit guides indicated really does matter. I know that there is leeway in regards to that stuff. There is a certain kind of movement of certain kind of windows. Again, if it doesn't coincide, life path changes. All of a sudden he's something different, and your whole setup for going a certain path in regards to a certain kind of job, occupation, lifestyle, way of life. It's not just facilitating in regards to the physicals at times. It's also facilitating in regards to other dimensionals. Specifically, if we have other dimensional selves and other kinds existing alongside us in proximity, then it really does matter. So, again, it's one of those things where you see, if someone's kind of unruly till, like 15, that sort of thing, where he's like upset and angry, and then all of a sudden he sort of just changes to a certain extent. A certain personality changes, or one of the personality moves away, or something like that, where then somebody else gets that personality trait. What if somebody wanted that unruly trait in a certain manner? That's a big talking point, that sort of negative traits. And where do we situate some of that stuff specifically, if the nearest human civilization in the physical is however far away, and with the grays hanging around, how the hell are you supposed to, what the hell are you gonna do there? Oh, come on. They can be fairly monotone at times. I don't mean to be upsetting. It's just we're good on that angle. At least there's well, that would be why. Yeah, it is if they're around. I feel like they are, that there is physical aliens and things of that nature. I think that they exist. I don't mean to bring people over here. I am just saying, though, that I feel like it exists to a certain extent. We talk about big subjects. So, again, on the subject point of ripple effect economics and that sort of thing, acceleration and deacceleration of different kinds of events, spotlights, heightenedness, being heightened in certain dimensional existences where there's like a lot of spirits around you, crowd control, that sort of stuff. Just bringing up physical aliens to a certain extent should not cause myself to be bigged up to such a dimensional existence to encapsulate whole entire planets within myself. That can't be. So, I mean, I think it has less to do with what I'm saying to a certain extent in regards to that, and what certain spirits are saying in regards to physical, aliens and other things like that, other subjects, topics, and themes, more to do with something else, a certain kind of ripple effect, economics, or an augmentation to a certain extent. And, some people trying to survive behind the scenes in a certain context. It's like, if I don't get this guy up, I'm going to be attacked in a certain manner. I'm not going to be getting attacked. So how many, is there going to be attacked? If they're going to be attacked over here, is this going to be? And when's that going to be situated? And specifically, if it's affecting certain things to such a degree, especially if we're talking about big events in such manners, again, it starts to say, hey, well, maybe it is impacting things to a certain degree. Well, that's also, it is, though. This is the case of it. Well, that would be why. So I started noticing that there's been discussion in regards to traits, mechanisms, qualities, and that sort of thing being exchanged in regards to ourselves. And I've noticed that Hollywood and famous people's, sometimes there's this synergy in regards to famous and the Joes, everyday regular folk. And, I sort of realized that there was different kinds of trades, interactions, but also something else that was taking place in regards to some of that stuff where a certain kind of trait wasn't necessarily given in a certain moment, and there's a certain kind of mapping of what it's supposed to be, and it just looks totally different outside of paper. On paper, it looks like it's supposed to be something, but because of some of the things that have happened, some of the trades that have happened, and I'm not blaming trades. I think trades are decent. In fact, trades are the lifeblood, specifically if it's not being what it's supposed to be on the map. So those trades, that sort of stuff, I'm adding for protection in regards to it, the way Main Spirit Guides indicate. I'm adding for the way stations and then the trade areas that Main Guides negated, as well as the revolving door areas that Main Guides negated to be protected. Main Guides negated, I'm for the that kind of stuff that Spirit Guides needed to be defended. It really does matter. But, we still need to be able to take a look at it and say, hey, with these newer generations coming in, we have a chance to be able to situate in a certain kind of manner. I kind of taken a look at it and said, okay, so what if we sort of say that in the next generations that come up that we do stick to the plan, and what would that look like in 10, 20, 30 years? We can see that generation who's now 30, if we wait that long, let's say, was it 2049, and we got with that generation at 30 then, and then the trades, if it was to look the way it does on the map, how do we facilitate that to be able to happen? How do we facilitate certain qualities not to be stolen? How do you equate for some of that's being thieved and that sort of thing? Again, it's one of the big ones, because that is because you stop whatever it is that's like, what exactly is it that needs to be facilitated in regards to those qualities, traits, mechanisms, and again, quality of life in regards to those traits, mechanisms, things of that nature matter too. But again, how much more important does it become when you start to take a look at certain kind of quality of life and things of that nature? Again, it lends towards certain kinds of quality of life existing in regards to certain physicals and other dimensional to a certain extent, to be able to have that equality of life for others too. If it is, we are going to look at that sort of thing and says that, if there's not a quality of life in regards to that sort of personality holding, or where that personality goes to a certain extent, specifically if there's life within personality and that sort of stuff, then it really does matter. It is a certain kind of theme to a certain extent. This is just one of the days, the 5th, it's just one of the points here that I wrote down. I am advocating for time, anti-camp time, family time, filmmaking overlaps time, filmmaking time, Joe time, time guardians, and time facilitators, as well as others from Spirit Guides to be protected the way Main Guides negated. I feel that there was, I think these are, I think I did I? Yeah, I did do these advocations. Yeah, there's like about 100 apiece on those ones that I listed. I am advocating for safety in regards to the grimier aspects of the NBA that Main Guides didn't get the way Main Guides need. There's certain things that happen at times, and I'm not saying that it doesn't matter, because that's what someone up there is going to look at right now. He's going to be like, oh, this must be the grimier aspect of that, and how does that not matter? So I'm not saying that it doesn't matter, but there's certain people out there trying to make a living, like selling knocked off merchandise in regards to, certain kinds of brandings and things of that nature. And I think that some of them potentially got attacked. It was a let know that some of them did in a certain kind of manner. And that's the thing of it. At what point, why is there a way to be able to facilitate that too as well? So I'm out of the greed coverage plans that Mace Guys needed to be situated, understood, and if need be, to be more put into play. And how does that affect the economics in regards to putting more greed coverage plans into play? And why are we unable at times to increase those capacities that Main Guides need? And what do we need to be able to do to address those issues in the spirit realm that Main Spirit Guides indicated? The way Main Guides need. So yeah, the ripple effect in regards to addressing these things on certain planets, who are getting affected in regards to who's taking the hit in regards to that sort of thing, and how do we situate that sort of stuff? I mean, how far do we have to go to get the quality of life that we need to be? I mean, how much do we already have to pay through some of this? To a certain extent, the resources of where it comes from, the ripple effect economics, the logistics, the manpower, the viability, and also taking a look at what happens if we don't situate. What does it do if we stagnate? If we do things like that? So, I mean, this doing nothing in regards to it, or putting a band-aid that something needs medical attention. I don't know if that's going to fly. So maybe we need a little bit more of a tensor bandage. Keep us alive for an extra couple hours. Well, that would be why. That'd be why. You don't know why. There's also wait, Alex. You don't know why. Oh, we're still moving through the days, though. So I woke up on this day, on the 6th, and I stood outside on Earth on the front lawn, and there felt like a complete and utter devastation. It just felt like something had been hit, that a bunch of people had been attacked. I'm advocating for those dimensional existences that means guys need to be protected, the means guys needed. There's this doppelganging topic that's been talked about for a while now. In this past 2 weeks, I think there's been a bit of a highlight on it. This sort of idea that multidimensional buffers exist, and then some of it is in the form of different kinds of bodies, atmospherics, in regards to dimensional existences. Some people are given the opportunity to live a decent life, which also lends towards that life utilization issue. There's a tether there, that sort of thing, where it's like, okay, well, you can live this guy's life. There's a certain kind of pain threshold. It's not necessarily the pain threshold that, some were thinking. And sometimes there's not a pain, threshold in such drastic that some would consider ways, but 30% for some, if that is the pain threshold in regards to certain areas, isn't too bad. I don't feel to a certain extent, although I don't know the full ins and outs of it. I can't if we're talking about a place that's like, yeah, there's 30% pain threshold, but then there's a whole bunch of other shit too, and you also got to take a look at what else, what kind of threshold are we talking about? 30% of what? That's it. Right, making 30% of what I'm engaging in regards to what I feel pain in regards to certain things, and it's the comfortable way. And, that would be decent. But some people are like, listen, we don't want to nitpick on the uncomfortable there because that might be that's not too, for some it's like not too bad. And again, it's different areas, different mindsets, different way of looking at it. If you look at it from a certain mindset, where I came from over a certain area where it's like really real, then some might be. Some might be saying that it ain't too bad, but I think he was going to. I was trying to say that it can be hard, difficult. It could be brimstone, holding it down kind of areas where it's certain kind of stuff where it's rough neighborhoods in way worse fashion. Well, I don't know if way worse fashion, good sir. And I'm advocating for the lives that means you guys need to be situated the way means you guys indicated. Again, I don't want that spirit to channel through there getting attacked in the manners that means you guys indicated in regards to smart application, etc. Performance, you guys, means you guys indicated. Okay, well, pertains to those that means guys need the way guys need it. Okay, well, that'd be why. So this day, okay, so yeah, that was also it. I woke up and it was that in the front lawn already. So there was already this turbulence in the air in regards to the 6th. So what the heck happened on the 5th? That is really one of the questions as to what the heck happened. And it might have been before then, just a bit before. It might have been sometimes around June. I'm wondering if it had to do with right after that review. I'm wondering if, well, that is correct. Okay, Alex, because you showed that review, and that was the case of this. And then I don't know what else to say. I mean, you're getting. That's what happened. They're pointing towards that. We do this certain kind of review at the end of the month, and I don't think it is that. It's a decent. Again, you look at that review on the 31st, and you say, okay, well, he's talking about certain things. So again, that sort of communication tethering in regards to myself and others from Insert Guides and that sort of stuff, the other content that's being created, what exactly is being said and what is going on. Basically, your version for the others, and that's the case of it. And they don't deserve to be attacked, I feel. There are people who you let know of certain things happening. Imagine certain kinds of, well, I don't like saying this word, but whistleblowers, no, I don't know if it is. I mean, that's also it. I mean, that's how I feel about it. It really isn't that big of a conspiracy to a certain extent because it's just seen, it's known, it's understood. Well, I'm supposed to be in that area that Main Spirit Guides indicated. This is the case of it. You let me know when you're ready to go bring me over there, you know? I mean, that's what's messed up about it. And dimensionally speaking, there is a large groups, some, of immorality, and certain banners are like, yeah, get them the shit out of here in a certain way. And that's also it. Well, that would be why. And the positivity crowds that Main Guys indicated, and those that Main Guys need versus market application catch, those guys are kind of like, maybe. I mean, this is the thing, not just maybe for some, a lot, yes. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's just one of those things where they keep putting me in this area, and it's just like, seems to be, huh? Well, that would be why, because these guys didn't like that you brought that up. You screwed with something. Well, all righty then. I'm not trying to screw with anything to a certain extent. I am trying to let know of some of the events that are happening. May, again, was one of those months. It was fairly turbulent at times. I put into play the happiness rebellions, that sort of thing, which, the AJH happiness rebellions. This is it. There's certain groups of people out there that felt like, hey, listen, this is not working anymore. We want to be happy. We want to be happy in the ways that my Main Spirit Guides indicated, our Main Spirit Guides indicated, etc. Divided by Main Spirit Guides, the way Main Spirit Guides indicated. Which they'll refer and let know of in regards to other Main Spirit Guide groups. I mean, this is the thing of it. Well, all right, fine. So, on the 6th, so I woke up and it felt like there was something devastating that had happened to a certain degree. I stood on Earth for a couple hours, and multiple people were brought up to a certain degree and which changed certain directions. There was also something near the end of the day, which felt like certain spirit potentially in regards to my father had deployed certain dimensional deployment as we went to the Symposium Cafe, but I don't know if it was. I don't know if it was being utilized in a certain kind of fashion or something else, but I don't know. It might have been. I'm not fully certain. I don't know on either of those. I'm fairly certain it's what Main Spirit Guides indicated in the light. Again, we go the honest direction, but that sort of attachment and tethering as to what they're doing in regards to my Main Spirit Guides needs to be understood. If they're trying to make it that difficult to be able to say that we're being honest because, there's threatenings, coercion, bribery, a bunch of other stuff happening, then that really, it's one of those things that hey, we need to know if our Main Spirit Guides information is getting through. And I think that it is in a certain context in multiple degrees. You do not know why. Again, I'm out for a physical Earth-based afterlife to be protected. It was another document that I put into play earlier on to a certain extent. And another thing I did that, what was it, on the 30th, I ran down what was in the online GitHub repository. But again, the information itself pertains to what Main Spirit Guides indicate. That was almost an accepting factor again yesterday. But again, it's been continued to be accepted that, hey, it only pertains to what Main Spirit Guides indicate. The information's fairly decent. It's worded decent. It's and things of that nature. So, in informational placement safeties, I'm advocating for what Main Spirit Guides indicate in regards to June 2019, the way Main Spirit Guides indicate. I'm advocating for those fallen heroes that Main Spirit Guides indicate to be given the proper burial that Main Spirit Guides indicated, the way Main Spirit Guides indicated. All right, well, that was the case of this. You don't know why. You don't know why it is. Well, I did say that Main Spirit Guides indicated those that Main Spirit Guides indicated. Having for Inforia and Informia to be protected. Which guys indicated? Inforia pertains to what Main Spirit Guides indicated in the light, the way Main Spirit Guides indicated in the light. Okay, so that was the case of this. You don't know why it is, because that's also why. This is my process. And that's the case of it. Like that would be the case of this. And he doesn't listen to that. You don't listen to that for a reason. Yeah, for a reason. I mean, why would that be? You don't know why. See, I don't want to argue anymore, and that's a part of it. You got this system that continues to argue through me. It's not okay. I've defended argumentatives. I've tried to let know that certain things, but I don't want to pull that memory either because I don't fully believe it. That's the truth. You don't fully believe it? I don't fully believe some of it. I think that argumentatives at times has been targeted in certain manners, and that's the truth. There is no way that an argument deserves that sort of attack and harm. And again, if that's what it's going to be, we go to communications and we say, hey, well, why are these guys over here aiming our voices in such ways when we want to be aimed the way our main proxies indicated? All right, well, that would be correct. Especially during argumentatives. And I'm asking for the concept of communication that Main Spirit Guides indicate to be vindicated completely in the ways that Main Spirit Guides indicate in regards to this market advocation, etc. Main Spirit Guides, and what Main Spirit Guides indicated, the way Main Spirit Guides indicated. Well, that would be correct, and that's the case of this. You don't know why it is that they put that up, Alex, because that's what you're doing. See, right? We're talking to other people, and other people facilitate certain things to put it on you. And you're supposed to be a bit of a hit stick, but, that's not what it's been. I've let know that I'm not supposed to be a hit stick. You are correct. They said you're that, is what you are. Well, that's why. You don't know why it works that way. That's what they say. Well, there's a certain kind of utilization of that. What happens when they utilize story from you in a certain manner? Oh, well, okay, Alex, you're being a nitpick. Is that a nitpick? Now, what about the others? I mean, this is the thing of it. Wait a second. You are correct. You're freaking heck. Well, that would be holy. There was Jesus. Is that true? Well, this is the case. I'm prompting those that main spirit guides indicated. And that's the case. My promptings only do what main spirit guides indicated. Those facilitating my promptings to not do something else, it's not lending towards certain things for what's acceptable. I'm not saying that some of it doesn't. And that's really it, though. Is it the others that where it isn't has almost labeled it to feel that way? Where the decents that aren't necessarily doing what main spirit guides indicated, that aren't too bad, even some of the brimstone stuff gets kind of lumped into this friggin' labelment, which is unfair. Good for you. So this is what it's going to be. So watch what happens when I turn off the cameras. So something happened with the devastation here. Again, bringing up dinosaurs. They brought up dinosaurs multiple times, through my process past 3-4 years. I mean, I even have a like in regards to dinosaurs where I'm wondering if it had anything to do with it. So I don't know who the heck was there such a need in regards to physical Earth-based disclaimers in regards to Earth-based dinosaurs? I think I might be. I don't know what the hell happened. That is what I need to ask. I think I'm out of the legal that main spirit guides indicate that's dealing with some of the stuff in the dinosaur age that main spirit guides indicate to be protected the way main spirit guides indicated. No, that's kind of it. I kind of feel that way, but I don't want it to increase something. I think we need to have those nullifications in regards to the heightening of certain bad things happening to the dinosaurs. Jesus, that they're living beings too, and there is beings of death. They don't deserve to get attacked either. Well, that is correct. Speaking of which, he brought some. Well, that would be why. So that would be the case of this. You don't know why. Well, that is what you did. I don't know what to tell you. You really go that way for a reason. By the end of it, I'm wondering if it has to do with something else. Maybe. This day, again, was fairly big. So, by the end of the day, again, so yeah, this day, freaking heck, I forgot about it, but you are correct. Cafe in Keswick, there was this whirring turbulence, like, someone situating something really quickly, like this erraticness, but together, like people working, like there was people working together in multiple capacities on multiple sides. A good teamwork, scary as heck though, because it felt like there was some turbulence happening, certain kind of battle at times, I'm fairly certain, but also really well. I'm after those systems that means for guys indicate to be protected. The means guys indicated. I and others from Inspire Guides are advocating for those that means guys indicated in regards to this market advocation extension departments. Guys will be protected. Means guys indicated. I go in public sometimes, and there's certain kinds of feng shui, but I kind of went to Newmarket this week, and yeah, that was also it. That was the 8th, 9th, and 10th on my end. I went to Newmarket, one of the cities near me. It was about an hour away. I took the bus 2 of the days, and I also got a drive for my parents on the one day, and really, again, certain kinds of interaction happening. I'll let know of it. There was a certain point where it kind of felt like a certain authority didn't have nowhere to go in a certain manner. This was on the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. carrying on, I think, onto the ninth potentially, but and potentially more so. I don't know what was going on, but maybe looking at his circumstances, his, from the viewpoint that main spirit guides indicated is what I'm asking. Those that main spirit guides indicate, the way main spirit guides indicate, the compassion, care, kindness mindset. And yesterday there was a certain kind of change in the winds. I guess that's that storyline being sort of situated. Earlier on in my process, there was this certain group that was pretending to be care, compassion, kindness, and I think that they set up a certain kind of storyline, kind of to end that kind of whatever that was, to a certain extent. And I did discern it to be certain kind of baddies, kind of taking a certain kind of hit, or finally being over. And it's almost like they're setting up this certain kind of life in a certain kind of life track kind of way. Is there a certain kind of markets in regards to it? Is that what it is? I and others from my main spirit guides testify in regards to the life tracks that main spirit guides negate the way, which guys negate. Well, that would be why. I and others from main spirit guides are having the story information to be displayed where main spirit guides indicated, the way main spirit guides indicated. Well, that would be why. Well, that is the case of it. You early. You don't know why. Because he understands it. He knows that this is the case of this. He understands that. Yeah, but I'm wondering if there's multiple kinds. There's ones where it starts off from the start and you got to get into that spot where you become a psychic and that sort of thing if you want it to be that way. But there's also ones where it's already like, it already goes that way naturally to a certain extent. I and others from its guides are advocating for what main spirit guides indicated regarding in regards to those life tracks that main guides need. The way main guides need light, power, light, setting main guides need light, do what main spirit guides indicated regarding the way main guides indicated. Well, that would be why. This is the thing of this. That's where he went with it. Well, you don't know why. Can't just be that guy. Okay, so yeah, at the end of the day, getting back from that symposium, at the end of the night, again, certain kinds of things happening in regards to when I was watching certain kind of intimacy content experiences, noticing certain kinds of stuff, and then a bigger deal in regards to certain kind of shaping, I think, being made than it usually is, or in a certain capacity. So I don't know if they were out to get certain kind of shapers. I'm mad for the shapers that Mace guys needed that day to be protected. The Mace guys needed mad for what Mace guys needed regarding the way Mace guys needed. Mislinking between extension performance guides, big share, little square, make sure extension performance guides do what remains for guys needed in regards to the shapers that main guys need in regards to this marketing application extension performance guys. Main guys need. I mean, there's already behind the scenes information regarding clarifications regarding. I mean, that's the thing of it. One of the things that happened at the end of the night, and this was so I did watch the basketball game this day. I think there was a basketball game on this day. Potentially. So I mean, it was later on the night. I noticed certain kind of turbulence in regards to sports and things of that nature. I might for sports to be protected. It means guys need. I might for basketball to be defended. It means guys need. I might for those that means guys need to work at the basketball games. It means guys need as well as the baseball games. It means guys need to be protected and defended. The means guys need. Yeah. So again, at the end of the night, I kind of discerned certain kinds of turbulence. There was a certain discussion in regards to passengers, anti and pro, that sort of thing. And that's the case. You know why. Anyhow, there was this carving of T and H into my vision in a big way, where when I looked down, it felt like blocks of T and H were falling out of that carving. So I'm wondering what happened. There was something said where somebody got through somewhere. That was one of the insinuations. The other insinuation was someone was through with a certain kind of anti-camp. That was another insinuation. Another insinuation was thanks. That was another insinuation again. But there's this let know that somebody got to a certain kind of heaven existence or reached a certain spot, and it was just this kind of weird semi-quasi kind of like, we're gonna get what we want here, and Alex stayed on my goddamn way, and that was sort of it. Kind of, to a certain degree. It was kind of like people were I don't know, trying to survive, trying to get to a certain spot. I don't know what exactly fully, but that's one of them. For what means for guys indicated regarding the way guys negated. Yeah, so that's one of the things talked about yesterday, subtle let know was this sort of thing where it's like certain spirits experience your life in a certain brimstone manner, and does that mean that they deserve to steal your life or get your life? No, that's the answer. The answer is no. And that's the story. I mean, that's pretty much it, though. Just because someone experiences worse aspect than your own life doesn't mean that they should get your life. I don't believe that. No, I don't believe in that to a certain extent for what's acceptable. Obviously, I believe it in the context that man's guys need, the way man's guys need. This is the real true, Alex. Is it the real true? Oh, I don't know. I mean, that's the thing of it. Okay, well, that would be why. That would be the case of this. You don't know why. I can go different paths. You don't know why it is. Yeah, but there's also something like that, too. You don't think that they're in cahoots? I don't know what you're talking about, good sir. If it breaks, like, well, then I go to the other one. Well, okay. And it's not necessarily meant like that. I like people's. People keep bringing it up here and there, so I don't know what to tell you. And it might not necessarily be that. I don't know. You take a look at how it's being utilized in a certain fashion, and I don't know what that means. It tells me something in regards to some of it. And I don't know what to tell you, but we'll tell you about it. I mean, Earth, yesterday, Earth, something happened with Earth. There was a huge thing in regards to Earth yesterday. And it was getting, Earth was getting suppressed in a certain manner. He was talking through me to a certain degree, and then someone from afar, higher up, supposedly tried potentially attacking. That's what it looked like. So he got suppressed right before I started yelling to a certain extent. That was the truth of it. The switch in the channel kind of happened. But I felt like myself combined with Earth in a certain manner. I'll talk about it a little bit more here as I go through the days, but it was one of the let knows, and I don't know what to tell you. There was aspects of Earth when he combined, there was like a certain spotlight. It's like, whoa, and everyone was like, whoa, and like they were all just like talking, and I don't know if it was a smoke and mirrors though, but within the context of it being a smoke and mirrors, there's also a serious reality in regards to certain things, and that's there was a certain portion of Earth that needs protection. That there's let know that we're not getting the protection at times that we need, but then we did yesterday. There was a moment where something had happened, where somebody had traversed and took a certain spot, where they finally were potentially getting the help that they need. But we need to understand if that's the case or not. We need to be realistic about it to a certain degree. And there's peoples out there that aren't necessarily of that certain kind of culture of what some have labeled realism culture, that sort of grit, that kind of that kind of culture. In which do believe in certain kinds of realism and what I've labeled as realism, that sort of thing, where we need to look at some of the truth as to whether people are getting attacked or not. We do need to see some of the stuff that's happening in a certain kind of context. It's like I observed there were certain kinds of conversations and mechanisms, interactions, which seem to coincide with personality and how that could change and be affected in certain moments. Imagine being able to identify different ones within a process to be able to discern which ones are being employed seemingly. Although it was said to be a lot of coherency in a certain manner in the Alex James Hislop diary entries, it still kind of felt a bit shaky on my end. I created an Alex James Hislop diary entry on this day on the 6th, so that was a decent. At least I got that out of the way, and that's online on YouTube's already. Because I kind of feel like this is a bit of an extension as to some of the events that potentially happened yesterday and the day before. I put into play an AJH document, AJH Earth-based dinosaurs information, and there's just been this thing about it, and I think that there's been someone saying somewhere though that it was decent. It was still decent to have a physical disclaimer pertaining to what spirit guides indicated. To help situate, because I don't know what's been happening, but I think maybe let knows the positivity and the decent in regards to that sort of stuff can be something decent, and you don't know why it is that it looks this way. Because they're looking at someone who's this, because it's the same thing, Alex. It's the same thing, Alex. You'll see what it is, and you'll be like, yeah, I can't blame you for not putting something into play to a certain extent. I mean, I think I would want to be putting something into play to a certain degree in certain ways, but, I don't know what to tell you, because there's been times when I look at my information that I put into play, and some of the things that have happened to me is seemingly insinuated, where I don't want to do anything anymore. We're just like, you know what? If you guys are going to come down to help us, those, that spirit guides indicated. I mean, there is a bit of a deflation in regards to that sort of thing. And I don't know if I've labeled it that way, or if I've said it that sort of way, but there is times when I feel that way. And I'm wondering if it has to do with someone. I don't know if it has to do with me or not. Something was situated yesterday. There was two let knows, though, vital let knows in regards to that Earth thing the Earth combining. There was to let know that somehow I was no. See, that's the thing. Bring the memories over here. That means what guys need. Life relates and ways guys need. Like create the access that makes guys need. The ways guys need. I and others from Spirit Guides are advocating for the informational embedment in regards to this AJH Daily Defensives. That means Spirit Guides need the ways guys need. Life relate setting the ways guys need. Like display that you displayed the disclaimers. That means guys need in regards to this AJH Daily Defensives, June 15, 2019. The way means Spirit Guides needed. Okay, well that's over with. That was done. Yeah, well. Heard that before. Yeah, you were correct. Yeah, those let knows in regards to Earth-based, and what that happened when he combined with me and these sort of visions I was having, the flashes, and things of that nature, I think need to be understood in a certain kind of context, coherent context. Again, as a psychic, I get vision flashes. I get different kinds of discernment in that sort of way to a certain extent. Again, I saw sharks, spiders, and aliens to a certain extent with some of it, but I also saw different kinds of flashes of different kinds of humans and things of that nature, different kinds of stuff. Yeah, but one of those things, I'm advocating for the visuals that makes guys need to be protected. Makes guys need. I'm advocating for the eyes that makes guys need to be defended. That makes guys need. I'm advocating for what makes guys need in regards to communication and information that makes guys need. Makes guys need. So, yeah, there was almost something let know where I wasn't someone, beforehand. It was the first one, I think. I don't fully know, and I don't know if that's what they're saying to try and have that happen or whatever it is. But either way, I know others from guys are advocating for the truth that makes guys need to be displayed. Where makes guys need. Makes guys need. There was also trying to insinuate that somehow I was here since Earth times in the dinosaur age, somehow by some sort of way. And I think that that's just to let know, though, to a certain degree, that some of Earth is going to be going home when I pass on, and it's going to be either through me or right around the proximity in the manners that mean Spirit Guides indicated. Again, light, far light, sending them guides, Nigan light, mislinking between etc. Defiance guides, big square, little square, main square, etc. Defiance guides. I and others Divine Spirit Guides are advocating for those that mean Spirit Guides indicated to be given the transportation that main Spirit Guides indicated in regards to this marking application, etc. Divine Guides, the way main Spirit Guides indicated in the light. I'm out for that information to be safeguarded and protected and to be employed and deployed in the moments that main Guides indicated upon my passing, etc. Divine Spirit Guides, the way main Spirit Guides indicated in strong fashion. Well, okay then. This is the case of this. I think there were some people who were going to be hitching a ride, and some people are just, you know what? Some people don't want to be here anymore in a certain manner. And we need some sort of replacements that means Spirit Guides need to be able to protect Earth. Because again, we go back, 500 years ago, thousands of years ago, hundreds of thousands of years ago, millions of years ago, even dinosaur age. How many spirits, beings, etc. Spirit Guides chose to leave a certain spot, and then that spot had to hold it down in a certain manner. And then we look around and say, why is it brimstone at times? For heck's sake. I mean, what are we expecting it to be if there's certain people leaving and taking certain things with them? So we got to be able to come up and situate that to a certain degree. We got to come together and figure it out, and that's the truth. Because that was just what it is, and that was the truth. They showed something. White Spirits, a manifesto. This was the 7th. There was this moment when I felt part of certain structures. I saw a glimpse of certain personality, the traverse the morality and immorality lines, and why famous can sometimes transcend. Also, my boundaries in regards to morality were being affected in a certain manner, although that was situated in a certain way not long after. It was like an hour after on my end. I felt like, wait, what I feel to be good and moral was like the energies in regards to that holds that in play. And I'm okay with it. Like I was still okay, but I feel uncomfortable without it on in a certain kind of sense, a certain kind of manner. Got kind of maneuvered. So there it is again, that sort of thing that says, oh, something's being taken from this process and put somewhere else by way of whatever the heck it is. And, that would be why. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, what's the real truth on that? And it should just be understood and known across like all that. Okay, so yeah, I mean, that's the thing of it. So we can move on from that issue. And you don't know why. That was the case. That was the truth. We didn't want to display it anymore. So display someone else's then. I mean, what can I say? Well, that would be why, Alex. You take that line entire through this life and you don't know what it does. You don't know why. Holy smoke. Because that was also it. You did live this life and that was the truth. We are kind of feeling that way at times. You know that? Well, I'd rather stop talking about it. So if that's understood, then let's move on. Okay, so that would be why, though. That's the case. And then we take a different line in certain moments, and you don't know why that is. Key moments that are impactful. Again, there was a certain kind of thing that I brought up yesterday, and it was like for a moment there, it was Dyson Bunyanhead from Storybrooke, certain kind of villains, and there's that sort of symbolism in regards to certain kind of culture. That being well, whatever it is that main spirit guides indicated. Well, that would be why. That's interesting, Alex. Thought of him, eh? Hmm. Anyway, I listened to Primetime Sports this day, and there was big updates. I felt like I felt like there was a big talking about different kinds of spiritualists, people promoting certain kinds of morality at times, but also the bigger one, the bigger tooth, was talking about certain kinds of immorality and immorality promotion, certain groups being feng shuied, shoehorned away from this planet at times. The mix-ups in regards to it. How certain people are approaching direction and where we're going with this process spiritually. If there's spirits hanging around us, attacking us behind the scenes at times, why can't we just facilitate that culture in the ways that main spirit guides indicate in regards to this marketing, application, etc. guides? And if it's so sought after, again, it's pointed towards certain timeline itineraries that says that we need to facilitate that and implement it in the future. What are the other alternatives then? And a highlight in regards to it. In regards to my main spirit guides information in the light and the information that main spirit guides indicated in the light is I feel decent to a certain extent. I and others to follow main spirit guides choose what our main spirit guides indicated, the way our main spirit guides indicated. There we go. That's done. All right. So at the end of the day, after certain applications, I utilized a certain ability in regards to where I was able to give access to certain spirits by willing them to be in a certain place. If I look towards a certain spirit in which utilized to a call word that is defined by my main spirit guides, there have been times when I've been able to bring forth spirits in a certain area and create windows of conversation, interaction in regards to the spirit, and transportation, etc. to my main spirit guides. So again, if I was to look like right here where my hand is, if I was to look towards there and then just feel like I'm speaking towards a family member, it potentially creates a window of conversation, interaction, transportation, etc. to my main spirit guides. And the safeguards in regards to that are important. And I put into play what I would label this visualization access, and I created a document yesterday in regards to AJH visualization access with disclaimers, testifications, advocations pertaining to what main spirit guides indicated, the way main spirit guides indicated, and yeah, specifically, well, even so, even if there's nothing happening bad in regards to it, there's nothing wrong with having a document that's there as a just in case. It's there if we put it on the digital. That means spirit guides say the physical digital, it potentially exists, and well, that's the problem. It still only pertains to what main spirit guides. When people say big subjects, it's still one of those things that says, "Hey, it's my main spirit guides information. It only pertains to what main spirit guides indicated," and that's the thing of it. And if there's a bunch of people behind the scenes that are facilitating other kinds of information, what is the direction and route? Specifically, with a lot of advocations, with the way the advocations are worded, hundreds of thousands of advocations in play, and there is a lot of different ripple effect economics advocations within them. That's the big stinker of it, really one of them, but it's not all of it. It's some of it, especially with the way some of the larger advocations are worded, the bigger testifications, the disclaimers. It's a dang mess. It really is. Why? That would be why. No, it's not a mess in regards to understanding it for those that mean spirit guides indicated, and that's the true of it. You don't know why we do this. Well, these people are understanding you're the bad guy to a certain extent. Well, those that mean spirit guides indicated. All right, well, then fine. Again, those vent areas. There was something that was deployed here. It was a certain vent area for I don't know how long. There might be certain vent areas happen in play for who knows how long, in which, when I say certain things that main spirit guides indicated to be aimed towards the vent, that main spirit guides indicated is supposed to be aimed towards the vent. And that's the thing of it. So people are like, oh, we don't want it to be aimed there. So, with all, some people going like, oh, well, why is he saying that? Why is he cussing us out? Why is this? So it's going to the vent areas that means cussing. It's not necessarily cussing you out for what's acceptable, depending on what it is. And again, the vent areas that means guys, and again, those dimensional existences, we're talking about dimensional buffer, that sometimes utilizes life utilization, and certain people live a certain kind of life and, take a certain kind of hit in regards to certain spirits, a certain kind of doppelganging groups in regards to certain dimensional existences. I'd put into play a certain kind of dimensional existence documents just today, early morning, to try and situate some of that because, well, partially I noticed that there was certain interaction. It's a decent, again, putting it into play pertains to what main spirit guides indicated. One of those things where if those vent areas, if people are living life even in a decent way, imagine playing a video game where you still experience certain kinds of pain, where you still experience certain kinds of things, specifically the suffering of placement, where they look and what they sense. A big one, I'm looking towards the vent areas that main guides indicated. Why can't it just be the AI that main spirit guides indicated with the infrastructure that main spirit guides indicated? And this sort of thing says, oh, well, to take a hit on industry, we can facilitate that industry in multiple manners. Talk about great coverage plans. Freaking heck. I mean, there's a bunch of different things in play to be able to facilitate economy and industry to a certain extent. And we go back to that again, and it brings up that sort of thing that says, who the heck is deploying that sort of, some of that stuff around the areas that main spirit guides indicated? That would be why. And if everybody wants to go home so dang badly, then why can't we get the transportations that we need? Well, that would, okay, alrighty then. Ring a ding ding. Well, that would be why. I'm also advocating for compensation, monetaries, treasure, credit, bones, chips, yen, dollars, loonies, etc. to main spirit guides in regards to the ring-a-ding-dingers that main spirit guides indicated in regards to June 14, 2019 and June 15, 2019. That main spirit guides indicated the way main spirit guides indicated. So that would be why. That was the case of this. I mean, this is the thing of it. Get your own content experience. It's the real true. Well, that would be why. That was the case of this. I mean, this is the thing of it. Well, that would be why. You don't listen to any of that for a reason, because you guys have traversed that line at times. And you keep saying that I don't listen to it, but true is not that. Well, that would be why. The truth is what main spirit guides indicated. All right. And if I have been, trying to adhere to certain systems at times, I don't know what to tell you. Why is it that I tried and went my own direction on certain ways? Why is it that I look at certain channel hoppings and saying, like, good guy gets a turn on the channel, bad guy gets a turn on the channel, then everybody cusses me out for informational placement and informational safeties? I mean, Jesus, cross those wires and it looks like what it looks like. Well, that would be why. That's somebody freaking out, Alex. That's what that is. And I'm not trying to be antagonistic, but I'm trying to understand exactly why it is that certain things look the way they do in regards to my process and others for main spirit guides. I can't imagine what some of the Joes out there that main guides indicated. They can't be impacted from this process, thanks to those that main spirit guides indicated that deployed what main spirit guides indicated. No matter for the maintenance regarding it to always be protected in the ways that main guides indicated. Because some Joe out there is not able to defend himself in regards to the outlawed voice like I am. You should not be taking a hit in regards to this process and others from main spirit guides the way main spirit guides indicated. All right, well, good. I've been able to bring forth certain spirits in a certain area and create windows of conversation, interaction in regards to the spirit. There is multiple kinds, one of which has to do with utilization of psychic stimuli. So again, willing, like almost looking towards someone beside you to will a certain kind of, it doesn't necessarily have to be conversation, but it's like looking towards something spiritually, where behind the scenes, another dimension, that creates a window of conversation, interaction, transportation to a certain degree. And if you do it towards the call words that main spirit guides indicated, that's really it. But there are those whose actions are only supposed to do what their main proxies indicated. There is that sort of thing, and that works just as well too. It's a real true. I mean, you are correct, Alex, because I looked at that. Call words are always going to be utilized. That's one of those ones. All right, yeah, that is correct. That was the true of it. Oh, I did create the AJHD. I think it's called, let's see here. Within the past month, I did. It's called something. Yeah, it's the AJHD Victoria Bill Hislop and Earth contact information. So Earth to be able to interact with my sister, who's handicapped, who at times I feel is getting attacked psychically. And I'm wondering if what's going on with that. And it's just this sort of thing that's like, oh, we're trying to de-heighten your information because you said it was too heightened all the time, but you're also just trying to take that information out of play and not listen to it to have still a reason to be hanging around here. I mean, that's it. If certain spirits are utilizing your family against you in certain manners that disrupts their lives to such degrees that some of them don't even want to be family with you. I mean, at what point do you not address these issues? You try to say, hey, what is going on? And there's some people that don't because they're just, well, some are tired, some are upset, some want to just move on. And this is the case of this. There's a lot of different reasons why people don't want to do that anymore. And it just exists. And the real true is I think that is the true. I think that they decided to go with certain things, and that was one of them. Yesterday, a bunch of people got kicked out, and it's been past 2 weeks. A bunch of people have been getting kicked out, and that's, I don't know at what point were they always there. I don't know if some of them were always there. This is the case. You look at the inflation on that, if they were always there, and when they came, and why they came, and what the real truth of it is on, and it just looks like, okay, well then that's really it though, because that's the case of it. It's the real true. Yeah, whatever then. The real truth is what main spirit guides indicated. I don't believe that hogwash that main spirit guides indicated that was insinuated in regards to somehow certain neighbors being placed here. No way. Being placed here by baddies? No way. I don't believe that. Nuh-uh. There was incarnational guardians that main spirit guides needed. I'm after the reputational defense that main spirit guides needed in regards to the incarnation systems that main spirit guides needed to be displayed. Awareness guys needed. Awareness guys needed. Well, that would be why. So that is what you said. So that would be why. Well, yeah, that was last month. There was some stuff happening with certain kinds of stuff. I'm glad certain things been protected and situated the way it doesn't, because that was also it though. They made sure that it happened that way. Well, at least there's still reputational defense. It's still decent. There's a lot of people that agree with that and with reputational defense. So, anyways, continuing on. Yes. I and others from Mr. Guides are having for my family that Mr. Guides needed, and others from Mr. Guides that Mr. Guides needed in regards to this market application, etc. To Mr. Guides to be protected, the Mr. Guides needed. If you look beside yourself and look towards someone you know to a certain call words, it could potentially create a window of conversation from afar. Yes, there is potential difficulties and caution in regards to this, but if you utilized in correct manner, coupled with mechanisms that are supposed to be set the way your main spirit guides indicated, main proxies indicated, as well as call word utilization, as well as just, making let know, and it supposed to be let know that your actions are supposed to do what your main proxies indicated. I feel like it can bring decent to a certain extent. So one of the things. I'm utilizing the call words. I can feel as a psychic, me looking towards certain things and it bringing up certain kinds of information. Again, you can look towards certain information. Imagine if you just look towards an information on your HUD, on what you see, your eye holes, and in your vision. Imagine a little square like a HUD popping up where it has certain kinds of information. Again, it's one of those where, yeah, well, you can use that, and that's the thing of it. Well, there is a pure HUD debris call, but I'm out for pure HUD debris to be protected. When you guys need, I'm out for those that means you guys need that hold it down in regards to pure HUD debris to be defended. When you guys need it, and that's one of those big ones, Alex. It's one of those ones. This is the case of this. My call words only pertain to what my main spirit guides indicated. I don't know what else to tell you. There is people who've held it down. There is people who've lost their lives in regards to the defense of those call words. There is, a slew of different things, and I'm fairly decent on it. This is the case of this. All right, I don't know what to tell you then. That is not too bad of a line. That is not too bad of a line, and there's a lot of people that want more, but at what point does it just look like something else? Again, I don't know if I believe the line that it was thieves. I mean, I don't know. Like that's kind of how I feel about it to a certain extent. I mean, I don't know. I think there is thieving in the mix, but I don't know if the bigger problem really has to do with that. I think that's in the mix in a certain kind of sense. I don't know. I think the hiring of thieves might have been, I don't know. Well, that would be why. All right, Alex, you don't know why. Again, that there is AJH documents into play that I put into play yesterday, and some decent ones too. I mean, I don't think it was too bad, regardless of whether it's all large concept subjects or not. It still only pertains to what main spirit guides indicated. So that informational line, I guess I'm just going to keep saying that. I mean, that's the truth of it. I guess I'll just keep going on that line. And, it's like somebody said that main spirit guides indicated. Well, that would be why. Oh, who do you think that is? Well, maybe not then. It's still in regards to what main spirit guides indicate regardless. I don't know if it's being thought on that for what's acceptable being defined by main spirit guides and which guys needed. Well, then fine. Again, that sort of placement of certain kind of dropping certain lines, it's like, someone gives you a certain name and you use that name to, you call that, a document that name or whatever it is. There's dangerous ones at times. And, that's one of those things that should be just away from me. I mean, what are we thinking here? I mean, this is not what we want to be doing. That's not what it needs to be. In fact, it's going to make certain things worse. So I don't know what you people is not the answer. Well, that would be why. Well, okay. I mean, that's always what people want me to say. Is a you people? You people? Yeah. Well, that would be why. Just getting a little bit of upsetness and anger here. I'm adding for the themes. I mean, these guys need to be displayed. Where these guys need, these guys need. Have at it. Well, have at it. Have at it is correct. Oh man, there is. So the idea is to look towards certain area while also utilizing it in regards to call words. There are authorities that need to be able to be aware that to understand some of this science that one must need to learn. And in learning, there is sometimes mistakes and learning curves in which happen. If certain spirits and people as well as others utilize these methods, we need to have leeway to be able to learn, and there needs to be safeties in regards to this. Other dimensional life matter as well, and that's not to say it always has to matter, but just as drinking water for some is life-sustaining and which does not have to matter is nonetheless vitally important for survival. Looking towards an area while looking towards call word utilization is and can be used in certain manners, which is based off of a baseline stimuli that exists potentially pertaining to other dimensionals that we as physicals and other dimensionals are not able to discern and / or notice. So some might not find it more comfortable looking straight at the call word while doing this exercise. So towards the call word, like for example, I use pure what main spirit guides indicated for this call word debris. It's pure debris call words. And well, the AJH Earth doing call words. The AJH Earth doing call words that makes guys need the pure debris call words that makes guys need to be protected and makes guys need. I don't know. There, if you give them another 3, that's decent. You keep the 2. Well, it's not necessarily keeping the 2, but it is what there is pure debris, like pure at the beginning of the call word, debris as well at the end of the call word. That was the thing of it. All right, fine. All right, that is correct. It's not meant that way. I go with what main spirit guides indicate. There is a lot of handing off of what main spirit guides indicated pertaining to some of my life, etc. To main spirit guides that main spirit guides indicated. The way which guys need it. Again, I take a decent line on it. I don't think that that's indecent. I think that that's fair. All right, you don't know why. I mean, that is how you looked at it. You looked at it from that point of view, and you don't know why. You don't know why. Again, I want to be placed in the area that main spirit guides indicate. I want to be placed in the areas that main spirit guides indicated. The dimensional setup Advocation's been here right next to here for a while now. This is the thing of it. AJH key Advocations. I'm Alex James Hislop, main camps, main spirit guides. I others. Survivor Cap Radin for one main cap in regards to the dimensional setup, etc. Defined by cap in regards to Alex James Hislop, 42 Break Road, and others. Survivor Camp as well as those who main cap etc. Defined by camp, the way main camp, which includes what main cap, the way main cap. This can include all persons, processes, vicinities, proximities, close family, close friends, family, etc. Defined by cap, the way main cap, main cap, misleading, observing outside, defined by cap, etc. Defined by cap, along with your defense that main cap, currently for what they chose for you to display in regards to these Advocations, etc. Defined by cap, can you display, etc. Defined by cap, what main cap, in regards to what they chose for you to display in regards to these Advocations marking, etc. Defined by camp, the way main camp indicated. The way main camp indicated includes what defined by camp, who defined by camp, where defined by camp, when defined by camp, how defined by camp, why defined by camp, etc. Defined by camp, the way main camp indicated, which is fully defined by camp. Far light being the original light that remained. Well, no, the original light. Yeah. Main camp's current information in forward light regarding this paragraph, etc., defined by camp takes precedence the way main camp indicated in forward light, which is fully defined by camp in forward light. I'm communicating this information the way main camp indicated in light. I'm advocating for anyone who is affected by this paragraph, etc., defined by camp to be protected, defended, healed, etc., defined by main camp the way main camp indicated in light. I and others defined by camp are advocating for Advocations, etc., defined by camp to be utilized, used, etc., defined by camp the way main camp indicated. I and others to Advocate Camp are advocating for what main camp chose for us to advocate in regards to the blowback, in regards to these Advocations, etc. To Advocate Camp to be displayed, etc. To Advocate Camp the way main camp indicated. Main camp's current information regarding this Advocation, etc. To Advocate Camp for what they chose for this paragraph marking, etc. To Advocate Camp takes precedence the way main camp indicated. Main camp's current information from the light regarding this Advocation, etc. defined by camp for what they chose for this paragraph marking, etc. defined by camp takes precedence when camp and light. When camp's current information from light regarding this Advocation, etc. defined by camp takes precedence when camp and in forward light. When camp's chain of command is what main camp and in forward light. Well, that would be why, Alex. You left it here, and that was the thing of this. It has the date on and everything. Yeah, this is printed in 2018. Jesus, I've had it up since then. Close, Alex. And you don't know why. So, I and others departments for guides are advocating for the disclaimers that managed guys need in regards to this market application, etc. Departments are guides to be displayed by managed guys need in regards to the AJH Daily Defensives Content, June 15th, 2019. The way managed for guys needed. Still recording, yeah. Okay. So, when the cameras go off, and that's the thing of this. Okay, well, okay, I think I could play that card, and that'd be a decent card to play on this content. I mean, wouldn't it? A card that says that there's been times when they've utilized and maneuvered, the Alex James Hislop diary entries and AJH Daily Defensives at times to sort of cut off spiritually behind the scenes in certain manners, in sections and things of that nature. Is that not a decent card to play? That in regards to what you guys need, the ways you guys need, you don't know why. Again, it's not that unheard of. You guys are taking an extreme line in regards to certain kinds of things pertaining to doing an advocation in regards to dimensional setup, in regards to your home, property, yourself, etc. Guys, that's run-of-the-mill beans. Frig's sake. It really is. Well, that would be why. Okay. Okay. You don't know why. So that was the 7th. And I've been using this visualization manifestation to give access to certain kind in a certain kind of manner. Well, okay then. Well, that's really how we feel here. I mean, that was also it. So again, that line that's being said in regards to certain destroying of certain kinds of integrity in regards to documents, not necessarily the same as de-heightening and heightening certain kinds of things. Some people are trying to make that a certain kind of line. That's not necessarily it, I feel, to a certain extent. I think that's just a crap excuse being utilized. Well, that would be why. It's kind of it. I mean, well, that would be why. You don't know why. You get over here for a reason. And that doesn't work. That's the problem with it. Psychological defense. Has that been a psychological thing for a while now? How long have the psychologicals been happening? A long time, Alex, is what it says, because I look at the heavenly existences and they talk about forgiveness. They talk about love, compassion, care. And then you guys, some say like, oh, well, it needs to be this, it needs to be that. But I don't believe that that's what we're going to be cussed out in the afterlife in regards to something. They're going to be like, just look at your life and you feel this automatic compassion, love, care, this feeling of like, yeah, you are correct. I wish I did better in a certain spot, or at times it's seen in near-death experience research on this physical planet Earth. And it's not new. It's something that exists. Again, the aiming of communication, really important at times. Informational placement safeties, yep, that is a decent. Well, that is correct. Yeah, you don't know why. And I don't always explain that every video. I think one video on YouTube should be decent enough in a certain kind of context. I don't think it's always going to be that, but I think that certain spirits and beings should take a look at some of the other videos, because I've talked about, informational safety and that sort of thing. I mean, multiple kinds of regards. So I don't know if there's just an ignoring at times or whatnot, but I don't think there should be. I think there's certain things you can't ignore anyway. There's a certain line like that. And that's the case of it. That's why, Alex. Continuing on. So, yeah. Themes. Oh, this day I did a lot of different advocation spirit groups and individuals that have been with me for a while. Spirit groups and individuals that have been with my own personal for a while. Spirit groups and individuals that have been with my anti-camps for a while. Spirit groups and individuals that have been with my pro-camps for a while. I did certain advocations in regards to a bunch of different things. I'm out for the fans and personnel that main spirit guys need in regards to those that main guys need to be protected, defended, healed, etc. Departments for guys need, because that's what it's been at times. You don't know why it is. Like, this is the case. This would be why. That's why. So again, that's a different dimensional existence. Is that what that is, or is it like, because that's also it? That's what they're trying to employ here. Well, but that's also it too, and that would be why. Yeah, I did actually create the AJHD Truthers information within the past day, but that's also it. I'm advocating for the AJHD truth information that makes us need, and the truth information that makes us need, as well as the Truthers information that makes us need to be created and protected the way main spirit guides indicated. Light, follow, light, segment that makes us need, light, do what main spirit guides needed regarding, and do what main spirit guides needed regarding the liars that main spirit guides needed, main spirit guides needed. I and others for main spirit guides are advocating for the AJHD liars information that makes us needed, and the liars information that makes us needed to be created the way main spirit guides indicated. All right, well, that is correct. All right, so the 8th, change in the winds. Winds. Wind. Wind. Winds. Winds. During the night, I was attacked in a certain fashion, which was labeled as choice in a certain context, which I chose rather than have certain instances be attacked as what was insinuated, but that's not necessarily the case. I felt certain dimensional existence in front of the scenes, kinds in which can affect the physical and other dimensional in certain ways. To attack in certain manners throughout the night. There was small insinuation that somehow if I stood on Earth barefoot, that somehow things would have been changed. But again, be connected to Earth in such ways, specifically upon where my bed is. There's a certain kind of connection there where I'm able to where I am connected to Earth in a certain kind of fashion. I don't know. Like I mean, it kind of feels like a bit of a I don't know. Bit of a trap, maybe. I woke up and felt a different way about me. When I went to bed, there was a direction change upon doing certain kinds of access and looking towards as well as placement of white spirits and others. It changed the entire interaction, which proves that actions can change the direction of certain processes. So I haven't been attacked, is what it says, in certain manners? Or since when? How long ago? Okay, so then we're done. We're over with then. Again, that's also why, though, because I know there's a large percentage that can see it. That would always be why. You don't know why. Because Alex is saying that if he's not been attacked, he'd want to know, and he doesn't want it being used against him in the future. That's really it. I mean, there was a certain kind of change that happened, and people were like, "Oh, some of us are going to work against you in the future," and that sort of thing. And then certain spirits went that sort of direction, and I was like, "Okay, well, it makes no sense." And again, the interaction that I have with the spirit at times has been turbulent. It's not always that interaction. It can be decent. It can be decent in many different regards. In fact, in most of the psychics on this physical planet Earth, there's been decent interaction, good interaction, heavenly interaction. I feel to a certain extent. So, I mean, it's just one of those things. That's why I sort of take a look at my process and my psychic interaction. And there is a bit of there can be differences in a certain manner. And you don't know why it works that way. You went that direction on it. And you don't know why. When I went to bed, there was a direction change upon doing certain kinds of access and looking towards, as well as placement of white spirits and others. Changed the entire interaction, which proves that actions can change the direction of certain processes. This morning, personality was present. Again, the concept idea and proved to myself that personality change be moving through with certain infrastructure, like a physical that enters an organic ancestral or other dimensional in which animates certain features pertaining. Imagine personality having its own form and things of that nature, and which can move through certain kinds of framework. It's why at times we see changes within ourselves coupled with other kinds that can affect us, different kinds of maladies like mentality, as well as core emotional personality and other kinds intertwining to shape the expression of physicals and other dimensionals. I no doubt wonder if there is this sort of thing within alities themselves, personality to shape personality and other kinds that can affect how they operate as well. There's multiple discussions, and I'm being treated in a certain fashion which has been different in regards to the interaction that has been happening. Still, here and there, certain reveal in which let me know that all has not been what some have led me to believe in regards to certain kinds taking place in regards to myself, and those updates should be near constantly displayed in an area easy to reach. That means spirit guides indicated. I know who I am in the ways that means guides indicated in the light, and not blaming the concepts in regards to concept, non-concept utilization, and concept utilization is how I feel. Changing that in the future is not what I intend to do, but I'm worried about when certain concept banners are utilized in things of that nature to promote harm against myself and others. How do we deal with that sort of situation? When some use the name, but other things too in regards to concepts that attack us, and that we don't want to blame the concept itself, but there's also a utilization potentially of the concept in a certain kind of manner, in non-concept too. So I don't know fully how to go about that. We'll see what that turns into. There have been insinuations in regards to those pretending to be me after I pass on, and the kinds of changes in regards to myself beyond the threshold that means for guides indicated is not desirable. So that sort of thing that says that all of a sudden his personality changes and he's no longer, if he starts being a bad person, it doesn't remember, people don't remember Alex James November 44 being that sort of way. What exactly does that entail? You know why? Because we're going there on this. If this is the case, Again, it's that sort of thing where you lead me to believe certain things are happening. If I haven't been attacked past 2, 3, 4, 5 months, you tell me, you let me know. We take a look at the past year, 12 months. And I mean, why does it always have to do with me? You are correct right here, right? How about taking a look at that line? Why are we still talking about it? What about them talking about it, huh? Why don't you put that over there on them? Oh, okay. Well, that is correct. That was the thing of it. You are correct. Why? Because this day, one of the days, I started listening to hip hop, and then I took a ride with my parents into to Newmarket. I sort of had this interaction in regards to certain processes. I kind of just felt that near the end of one of the songs I was listening to, and there was just this kind of interaction where I felt like certain spirits were hopping a ride with me, or there wasn't really an excuse to be had in regards to attacking certain kind, and it does lament upon that sort of thing that says being famous isn't decent enough to be attacked. You don't deserve to be attacked if you're famous. I think that is the truth, and vice versa in regards to not being famous. At the end of it, I just kind of felt like certain spirit were attacking someone because they were cool. That's really I think that might be it. I don't know. But what if it was that then? What if that's the case of it? Again, life utilization, I don't know what to tell you on it. Is this how people want to be operating? Is that how we're operating? I mean, at what point do we see that? And then at what point do we say, why aren't we interacting with others of our of us to a certain extent? Again, I don't know. There is a realism aspect in regards to some of this, specifically if it's not like what the systems that Main Spirit Guides indicated in regards to this marketing, education, etc. Guides have outlined to a certain extent in regards to how they operate. And if it's past the lines where it's like you still feel a certain kind of pain, or if you still feel a certain kind of death, if you still feel certain kind of suffering, and you're being attacked within the confines of that sort of place and that sort of area, then what is that supposed to be? What does that mean? It's one of those things that's not okay. Not I don't find it to be okay at all. Well, okay then. Oh yes, this is the day I got. I was just upset. I wrote down the name of the date as the bunch of might as well be nobodies, and that's the thing of it. I mean, got upset. I'm gonna run down this entire day though. The 10th, again on the 9th, I went to Newmarket. Big updates. Walked around. I was trying to hook up my phone, but I got there a little bit late, so I had to do it the next day. I went into Newmarket. A lot of interaction because I went there the second day. Where we go, where we move, where we're interacting with, especially if we do it in certain days in a row, is interesting to note and interesting to see. A lot of different conversations, psychic activity. I'm one of those who likes to open channels, certain spirits, and converse with my out loud voice, but I still talk within my mind too. Okay, so let's read this here. Maincap's current information for what they chose for the AJH Daily Defensives Content, June 15, 2019 information that Maincap as well as other information that Maincap takes priority on Maincap and Light, the way Maincap and Light. I and others to Advocation testify in regards to the AJH Daily Defensives Content, June 15, 2019, and others to Advocation, the way Maincap and And I'm Alex James Hislop, Main Camp's Spirit Guides. I and others to Advocate for healing and protection, as well as what Main Camp indicated in regards to the AJH Daily Defensives Content, June 15th, 2019. That for Main Camp and others to Advocate for Main Camp. Okay, so yesterday, on that day, on this day, I was on the 9th. I went to Newmarket, and the day before, I went to Newmarket as well. The first day, I went with my parents in the car, and the second, I took the bus. All interesting events happened, and yesterday, when I was at the bus stop, I focused on certain things. I'd created 180 or so advocations on before in regards to the AJH Earth Doing Call Words on the AJH Daily Defensives board, which is now public. I then started working on certain kinds of visualization access and other kinds of energy impression, which stemmed from the events on Friday during the near end of the basketball game. One of the things I did the bus stop while standing on Earth, and there's multiple things that I've been doing, throughout it. And I'm going to try and run down actually what exactly I've been doing. Let's see here. Let's see if we can run down these certain advocations that I've been working on as of late. Again, AJH doing call words. That was some of them. Call word personnel. Again, a lot of this has to do with advocating for others to monitor camp, as well as those that may camp and gear for healing, protection, etc. to monitor camp in regards. So a lot of it has to do with that sort of thing. Some of it had to do with my sons and daughters. That means for guides and my mothers and fathers. That means for guides and getting others to monitor camp. There's also an another survivor camp in regards to the one before as well. Sons and daughters that may camp and get another survivor camp. Mothers and fathers that may camp and get another survivor camp, as well as another one was in regards to ancients and youthfuls. It's a certain kind of concept. Some of it had to do with AJH Earth doing call words again, call word personnel. We were talking about that call words that may camp indicated, that sort of thing. This one had to do with family of sports. Children of sports, sports and others, Fodbury Camp, children of sports that may camp and get others, Fodbury Camp, Segway teams that may camp and get others, Fodbury Camp. This one I had to do in regards to the Endless that may camp indicated. This one I had to do in regards to Sandman that means you guys negated. This one I had to do in regards to the Guardian of Children that means you guys negated. So yeah, that was on the 7th, and there was, I think, a basketball game that day. So maybe it was on Friday then. This one's catch all. This one I had to do with spirit groups and individuals that may captivated, that have been with my friends that may captivated a while, and those that may spirit guides indicated. I already read on this one over here on the other day. So where is it? This is on the 7th. So yeah, spirit groups, individuals that have been with me for a while. That means spirit guides need spirit groups and individuals that have been with my all personal for a while. That means you guys need spirit groups and individuals that have been with my anti-caps for a while. That means you guys need spirit groups and individuals that have been with my pro camps for a while. That means you guys need spirit groups and individuals that have been with my neutral camps for a while. That means you guys need spirit groups and individuals that have been with my part of my process for a while. That means you guys need spirit groups and individuals that have been with my family for a while. That means you guys need spirit groups and individuals that have been with my friends for a while. That means spirit guides indicated. There was other ones as well. There's anti-camp groups that main camp indicated in regards to 2017 and 2016. That's what I do in regards to cousins that means for guys needing cousin interaction content experiences. So in regards to jackass antics that main camp indicated, as well as the personnel that means for guys needed, and those that have fallen that means for guys needed. In regards to treadmill, a way of life, treadmill industry, treadmill and recreation, treadmill teams that main camp indicated. This was in regards to frat groups that main camp indicated, frat parties that main camp indicated. And this one had to do in regards to Reshiram systems that main camp indicated, and other survivor camp. That has to do with certain kinds of dimensional existence areas that main spirit guides needed, and content experiences that main guides needed, as well as what main spirit guides needed in regards to this market application, etc. What main guides needed. So yeah, this one says in regards to those that came back for Alex James Hislop and other survivor camp in regards to June 8th, 2019, as well as when main camp indicated. Yeah, this day. Yeah, the 8th. Friggin' heck. Yeah, there was that. In regards to those that sometimes needed to get things up and running, in regards to those that are sometimes needed to get things up and running. So I'm Alex James Hislop, main camp, for guides, and others, camp, as well as those that main camp are advocating for healing, protection, etc. Camp in regards to those that are sometimes needed to get things up and running the way main camp needed. This one's in regards to those that have tried to save me and others to Fodbury Camp. This is in regards to those that have tried to save me and others to Fodbury Camp. In regards to those that have always saved me and others to Fodbury Camp. Whatever then. That's what they say. In regards to items safeguard teams that main camp in regards to June 8th, 2019 and others to Fodbury Camp. I don't know. In regards to items of power that main for guys in regards to June 8th, 2019 and others to Fodbury Camp. In regards to call word teams that main camp indicated in regards to June 8th, 2019 and others to Fodbury Camp. In regards to AJH Earth doing call words that main camp indicated and the call words that main camp indicated, as well as the personnel that main camp indicated in regards to June 8th, 2019 and others to Fodbury Camp. So in regards to instability and others to Fodbury Camp, in regards to stability and others to Fodbury Camp, in regards to incoherency and others to Fodbury Camp, in regards to coherency and others to Fodbury Camp. This one in regards to the demons that may captivate and others to Advocate camp. And this one in regards to the angels that may captivate and others to Advocate camp. This is in regards to interaction in regards to Melissa Clark that may captivate and Jeff Crispia that may captivate as well as others to Advocate camp, especially in regards to the Toronto Raptor games that may captivate. This one's in regards to the interaction teams that may captivate in regards to the Toronto Raptors game. So that may captivate pertain to those that may captivate. This one's in regards to families that may captivate and others to Advocate in regards to June 10th, 2019 and others to Advocate camp in regards to the information that may captivate in regards to June 10th, 2019. This one's in regards to June 10th, 2019 and others to Advocate camp. This one's in regards to those that may camp indicated in regards to June 10th, 2019 and others to Advocate camp. I am advocating for the let knows in regards to the error overlaps that Maze Guys needed, as well as the error overlap systems that Maze Guys needed, and the corrections that Maze Guys needed pertaining the way Maze Guys needed light, fiber light, said Maze Guys needed light, continue to do what Maze Guys needed in regards to this market application, etc. Maze Guys and do what Maze Guys needed regarding. This is in regards to home and hearth that may captivate and others to Advocate camp. This is in regards to those communications that may captivate and others to Advocate camp. This is in regards to those transportations that may captivate and others to Advocate camp. This is in regards to the crowd control teams that may captivate. This is in regards to the interaction groups that may captivate and others to Advocate camp. This is in regards to the USA and others to Advocate camp. This is in regards to Canada and others to Advocate camp. This is in regards to the Toronto Raptors and others to Advocate camp. This is in regards to Raptors, yeah. The women kept negated, and this was after they had won the championship. So they won the championship on the 13th, I believe, and then yesterday was and I did it right at 12 a.m. early morning on the 14th. So I thought that maybe that would help situate certain kinds of things. There was more things than that, and I and other Surviving Spirit Guides are advocating for the storylines that Maze Guys needed. In regards to the process that Maze Guys need pertaining to the Toronto Raptors and others from Spirit Guides to be understood and displayed if need be, where Maze Guys needed, the way Maze Guys needed. Yeah, a lot of storylines happening, one of which happened to do with me noticing certain kind of stars kind of attending certain kind of basketball games. Obama being in Toronto was the one thing I kind of ended up, well, it kind of felt like there was certain kind of interaction happening, and I don't know what to say on it. Some of it has to do with certain kind of dimensional existences and content experiences that Maze Guys needed, but still, there is certain kinds of realism within some of that stuff. Quality of life, it does matter. I'm not looking for people to be harmed or attacked or hurt. I know that there's regulars and things of that nature. To a certain extent, again, I'm out for the retirement stuff that Maze Guys need to be put into play and protected. Maze Guys need them the great coverage plans that Maze Guys need to be situated. The Maze Guys need them for reputational defense that Maze Guys need in regards to those that Maze Guys need. Again, I printed off the AJH, the United States of America information. Again, as physical disclaimers, this physical planet Earth printed out in regards to the Americans that Maze Guys need. It's worded in a certain kind of fashion. And that's the thing of it. Not too many people are wording things, in reference to their main Spirit Guides information, taking precedence in physical wording on this physical planet Earth. So it's that sort of thing that does matter. It does help, but it can't be that heightened to a certain extent by way of some of the spiritual disclaimers that already exist, and how that's a normal to a certain extent for some of it. It's not that unheard of. It really isn't. And so there's as well as those. So yeah, this one's in regards to the Marine Cap Indicator out for deployment in regards to anti-camp defensive information where Marine Cap Indicator. This one's in regards to safety and security in regards to banking institutions that Marine Cap Indicated and others to Advocate camp. This one's in regards to those that Marine Cap Indicated and others to Advocate camp, as well as who Marine Cap Indicated. This one's in regards, as well as those that may be capitated, are advocating for posts that may be capitated and shipments that may be capitated in regards to those that may be capitated and others, so as well as who may be capitated. This one's in regards to information that may be capitated in regards to the defense of the resources and supplies that may be capitated and others to Advocate camp. This is in regards to the resource defense and supply defense, as well as those that may be capitated. This one's in regards to the posts that may be capitated in regards to June 14, 2019 and others to Advocate camp. This was in regards to copying of the lists that may cap indicated in the ways that may cap indicated in the place where may cap indicated. This was in regards to logistics that may cap indicated and viability that may cap indicated, as well as permissions that may cap indicated. This was in regards to the goodwill construction that may cap indicated, goodwill creation in regards to brimstone communities that may cap indicated. This one's in regards to banner support that may cap indicated and others to Advocate camps. In regards to access, in regards to those that may cap indicated, in regards to the areas that may cap indicated, in regards to June 14, 2019 and others to Advocate camp. So in regards to the update teams that may cap indicated and updates that may cap indicated in regards to June 14, 2019 and others to Advocate camp. This is in regards to the change teams that may cap indicated in regards to June 14, 2019 and others to Advocate camp. Advocating for what may can't be negated in regards to manpower that may can't be negated, and planning that may can't be negated, as well as safety that may can't be negated. This is in regards to information hunts that may can't be negated, and wild goose chases that may can't be negated, etc. Defined by camp. This is in regards to the anti-caps that may can't be negated. This is in regards to clarifications in regards to the lists that may can't be negated, as well as the advocations that may can't be negated, and others defined by camp. This is in regards to the creation and setup pertaining to the tailgating parties that may can't be negated, and meeting spots that may can't be negated. This is in regards to the anti-camp resources that may can't be indicated. The way this in regards to what may can't be in regards to these markings, applications, etc. Squadron camp. So that one is in regards to the map creation that may can't be in another squadron camp. This in regards to what immorality wants in regards to this marking application, etc. Squadron camp. And that is advocating in regards to what? Okay. All right, so that is all right. So we'll have to reword that one. So it's supposed to be worded. Well, it's only done the way me cap indicates. So I'll read the full thing. The way me cap indicate, the way me spirit guides indicated, includes what me spirit guides indicated, who me spirit guides indicated, why me spirit guides indicated, where me spirit guides indicated, when me spirit guides indicated, how me spirit guides indicated, etc. Defined by me spirit guides, when me spirit guides indicated. Me spirit guides can alter the subject line set me spirit guides indicated, the way me spirit guides indicated. This is included in regards to my main spirit guides information in regards to these markings, advocations, information, etc. Defined by me spirit guides taking precedence. The way me spirit guides indicated. The way mean spirit guides indicated, lighten those that mean spirit guides indicated, do what mean spirit guides indicated in regards to these markings, applications, information, etc. Defined by mean spirit guides, mean spirit guides indicated, mean spirit guides current information in regards to these markings, applications, information, etc. Defined by mean spirit guides for those. For what they chose for these markings, advocations, information, etc. Defined for guides takes precedence. What means for guys needed, nine of those that means for guys needed are communicating this information. That means for guys needed, the way means for guys needed, means for guys training command is what means for guys needed in the light. What means for guides are my main camp. I'm Alex James Hislop. So yeah, it's supposed to be worded. I'm Alex James Hislop. Main camps, my spirit guides, and others to spirit guides are advocating for what my main spirit guides indicated in regards to what main spirit guides indicated pertaining to what immorality wants in regards to this marking, education, etc. Defined by main camp, the way main spirit guides indicated. This one's in regards to the construction of the shrines of Emo and immorality safe houses that main camp indicated. This one's in regards to the darkness that main camp indicated, now there's Swadron camp. This one's in regards to the monetary creation that main camp indicated in regards to immorality that main camp indicated in regards to immorality that main camp indicated. So this one's in regards to the immorality groups that main camp indicated, beings that main camp indicated. Okay, so that's some of the stuff that was happening, but we still got to get a lot to get through here. During the night, I was, so we were to talk about this one, not this. So yeah, I tried doing Kung Fu impressions and tried like evolving impressions as well to certain Kung Fu impressions by way of utilizing certain kinds of evolution energies, etc. Developments for guides. Got everybody's attention and kind of created a bit of smoke and mirrors. It was right in the middle of certain kinds of happenings and hearings within my process pertaining to one of the events and some of the events that happened a couple days before. Again, some of the things that I did on the it was the 7th and the 8th, was create visualize. So by way of visualization access, creating different kinds of light that remain spirit guides needed light openings. Again, I surmised that by way of certain kind of ghosts looking towards the light and being able to go towards the light from those areas, that down here we could look towards light and then they can open up around us if they're not already opened up around us anyhow. It's that sort of thing that says that we can be protected in certain areas by way of certain kind of light utilization and visualization access. So you're looking towards a certain kind of house and envisioning that there's a light, and invoking and overlapping and being opened up above it or around it, providing that defense, hopefully. I know that not all lights do that sort of thing, but some of them do. But it still potentially helps. There's still a lot of healing and things of that nature. Again, I already did that, and I utilized the disclaimers that main spirit guides indicated on the on June 7th, 2019, June 8th, 2019, June 9th, 2019, and June 10th, 2019, in regards to visualization access pertaining to what remains spirit guides needed the way guys needed. Again, I visualized certain kind of white spirits and darker spirits as well in certain areas, as per using the disclaimers that mage guys needed the way guys needed, in which I was also using the AJH Earth doing call words that remains spirit guides needed the way guys needed, and the call words that mage guys needed the way guys needed. So, I'm adding for clarifications regarding it if need be the way guys needed, and yeah, I mean that's really it. Okay, well, you don't know why, because you're looking like that. It's the real true. I had opened multiple kinds of light by way of visualization access in regards to Jimmy Hart's physical property. One was golden water kind, in which I surmised from near-death accounts that beauty is a big part of some of the afterlife that is seen, but I don't think some of them has to be exclusive to those that are beautiful. I think if you want it to be ugly or different kinds, that is a possibility in certain areas. One of the things about it the day before yesterday was the idea that beauty seen within these lights extends to the soul as well, which I utilized in regards to certain manifesting access in regards to white spirits. The idea looking towards what remains spirit guides indicated by way of call word utilization and mechanics, and the utilization of visualization to create access. In this instance, it was white spirits. I went by way of my karmic understanding to be that of white spirits that are highest up karmically. I also, on Friday, created black spirits as well with certain kinds of velvety beauty, in which I discerned that I should be manifesting at times the dry kind as well. To a certain degree. This then, though, extended to visualizing white light, classic spiritual information in regards to ghosts, look towards the light and submerge. We could do similar things in regards to look upon certain light and afterlife, in which doesn't just stem in regards to light, but also other dimensional and non-dimensional. Again, that sort of thing happening where certain spirits go good by given a choice after certain bad life, and the life utilization stealing of my life partially intertwined. It's been insinuated that certain choices were given to live decent life at pivotal legal moments and beforehand. Again, that sort of thing where I'm talking here is that sort of thing where my name and that sort of stuff is being utilized in a certain kind of fashion, but also the literal taking of certain kind of bodies and atmospherics. Also utilization of dimensional selves and things of that nature, hooking up to me in a certain kind of manner, utilization of my life in a certain kind of way, pertaining to certain kind of life stealing. But it's not just that. There is a sapping. There is also leeching. There is also splitting of certain kind of light, which is dang well heresy is what it is. Well, it is. It's a heresy. And it's not so funny for all that recurrent, because it's not at all. All right. This is a part of the bring up of three concepts fairly regularly in multiple kinds of ways to be insinuating to be working against me, but also help me in different ways with focus on the negative I speak about. Immorality, anti-camps, and banners, in which I've lamented upon, shouldn't be brought up in certain fashion in regards to be working against myself in certain manners and the ways I've been guys negated by way of the damage that's been brought on these three concepts in regards to utilization of working against myself and others. Again, it's not somebody writing it there to tell me that. It was me writing it to let them know to stop bringing it up in the channel if possible, because the way I've been utilizing it hasn't necessarily been too bad. You take a look at it, and yeah, some of it's opinion of me being upset at banners in regards to certain instances, but to be quite honest, I've been trying to stay away from certain kinds of blaming, certain kinds of things of that nature, and I don't know. I feel like that is the case. So there is war happening at times that extend beyond the banners, and I discern the original light to be on multiple sides. In fact, I discern them to be a bit of a referee in which I do not feel that to be always the case in certain circumstances. This war that I speak of from my perception encapsulates many wars in which some are trying to be intertwined by way of my process and the utilization of my spiritual mechanisms and other spiritual mechanisms as well. On one side of this war, I discern blue, smooth energies and status quo, a certain kind of Rome, if you will. On the other side, dry at times, and also dark and red at times. It is to do with multiple kinds of issues, some of which happens to do with land culture, and a big one is direction. I've noticed the long game end and how we approach that topic, as well as groups in the mix with life utilization difficulties in the middle of it as well. On the bus ride yesterday, after certain mechanism utilization, a supreme kind of energy around me explaining certain things in which I discerned certain clashes have happened. It was said that the good guys had won, and one of the big things I did beforehand, before entering the bus while standing on Earth, a location where I don't usually stand, was letting you know about the original light. Which there's been clarifications in regards to the original light, a breakthrough the past couple of days in regards to the truth in regards to that, and a way that certain spirit approach that issue around me. If it's just a higher light, especially in regards to the bad guys that have been plaguing at times, then that needs to be known. In regards to what some are considering the original light to be, I am really talking about the the first light. That's what my main spirit guides indicated. And you can look at it from a logic standpoint. That is, considering on the extrapolation that I've taken, and also my belief system and faith in regards to feeling like we emerged from morality, family, self. It is okay right there, though. All right, fine. You know what that meant, though, Alex? You don't know why they're pissed with you, because that was the case. Everybody moved. It was all. Original light, I feel, was around in the acceleration and deceleration information that main spirit guides indicated in regards to how to be able to interact with the original light without streamlining accelerating events is needed to be understood. It needs to be understood is correct. All right, you know what? That is, you don't know why. Because you guys come at him and then he defends himself. So stop doing that. Well, that would be why. There was a warning shot in regards to higher up light, utilizing life stealing and manners from certain physicals on this physical planet Earth in certain ways to assert a certain kind of life utilization in regards to multiple, where they live decent life, in which the physical perspective and what entails that to not be included, by way of through them, channeling through but the utilization of one's life is like that you don't get somehow access to a certain kind of your own life by way of certain kind of life utilization and life stealing, in which then you're shoehorned, in a certain, not in a certain spot, depending on what it is. Again, mixing that up with moving us to different areas, I don't know if that's the decent of it. I guess, I don't know. It depends on what it is. I mean, that's also it. But the way it looked to me there did not look like that, and that was the thing of it. Okay, you are correct. No, that's a big deal here. I don't know why. On the bus ride home, I had a bit of an argument on in my mind with certain spirits. And near the end of the argument, I utilized certain events that main spirit guides indicated in the light, in which my actions and non-actions only do what main spirit guides indicated, then displayed indigo information and black information in a certain manner by way of impression and spiritual mechanism to defend myself. They said defied myself. It is a part of the black and indigo theme in regards to myself and other things too. There's a bunch of other stuff as well. Well, that would be why. Multiple vindication from going to my old work spot restaurant to connecting to Tim Hortons Wi-Fi to reveal the 911 disclaimers I created on the Peacekeeper Alex Trello account, as well as going to Canada Computers. This is the mandate from certain authorities in regards to this process, and at times there are some that have not been listening, as well as some pretending to be a certain kind in the mix. There is both at times trying to help, but there is a dimensional rights issue in the mix, and a bad guy somewhere. Well, that would be why. On the 11th, early morning, I discerned a certain kind of arrival. Some said it was my other dimensional self, but, with a bunch of other people too, spirits, beings, gods, etc., departments for guides, that sort of thing, where there's deployment in regards to that sort of stuff in intervals throughout certain lives, processes, areas, places, things of that nature. And I've discerned it happen in my process, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, however many times it's been, to where there's that sort of update where certain banners get some support, certain kinds of infrastructures built up, certain kind of gods deployed, certain things like that, certain kind of issues worked on, energies, situated, a bunch of stuff like that where there's certain kind of updates. And yeah, so I mean, it's a bunch of different things happening in a certain kind of manner, to a certain degree. All right, well, that would be why, because you do. That was what you did. Yeah, but there was also a point where I kind of felt like I got a little bit upset, after decent things had happened and things were going good, and it was just this maneuver of peace spirits around my process again, that sort of thing that says that, all right, well, because if that's you, then that's the thing of it. All right, well, everyone made such a shit and big deal about it. This was the thing of it. All right, well, you don't know why. You don't know why I'm going this way. You don't know why. Why am I going that way? All right, does it? Yeah, it does matter. You don't know why. I might for penguins to be, but anyway, just needed. Well, that would be why. That's the case. I got to a point where I was scared and angry, and they continue to do things to me spiritually where I feel unfairness in regards to spiritual protecting us and the lack thereof. I lost my composure earlier in about 2-3 days ago, and which wasn't what some had hoped for from myself. It was where I prompted certain kinds of truth in the original light, as well as in the light and elsewhere that main spirit guides need. I rely on my main spirit guides information. Anybody who takes that line where it's like, oh, well, then, that's just one of those things. I just, and of course everyone's all like, oh, well, yeah, must be what it is, but that's really it. Is it? because that's it. You're going to be hitting me over the head with it every time I bring it up. Well, that would be why. Well, again, my main spirit guides should be allowed to traverse to the areas that main spirit guides indicated to be able to prevent me from doing some of that stuff. The way main spirit guides indicate, if you're insinuating that some of my immoral action behind the scenes, if that's been it, has been affecting that. Again, psychologicals. I don't know what to tell you if that's the case. Well, that was the thing of it, and that was the truth. Finally got to a point where I freaked out about some of the events happening in which was a tell about certain things. I feel it was partially the bad guys as well being upset at some of the events that were happening in regards to Earth and elsewhere. There was something huge, massive happening. Something changes this past 2 weeks, which enabled certain groups and spirits to operate in certain ways, which some of the events on the 10th and the 9th of June led towards a certain spiritual intervention in which is taking place, which reminded me of certain moments throughout my life. Told to be gods emerging, as well as certain banners and family to defend those that need defending. I discerned Hollywood and sports concepts affected in certain manner. When I freaked out, I prompted what main spirit guides indicated in regards to taking out the bad guys past some of the games that were being employed around me. Some of us are tired of it. We want it to be over, and in the manners that main spirit guides indicated. And I apologize to those that main spirit guides indicated, but I and others from main spirit guides are asking for what main spirit guides needed in the moments that main spirit guides needed, pertaining to those promptings that main spirit guides needed, the way main spirit guides needed. Again, some people letting what the true promptings were in regards to that might be decent, because they switch up to say, okay, those guys are attacked over there, then we'll switch over here and try and say, listen, it doesn't need to be, or whatever it is. It means spirit guides information regarding it takes precedence. Okay, so that was really it, though. That would be why. Again, and then this sort of, this past, present, future kind of like, it was in the past, this event that led towards, how sort of thing popped up again, that sort of thing, and said, hey, the beginning of Storybook was potentially affected by way of the events that Maze Guys indicated in regards to June 11th, 2019, Storybook being one of those moments where I was sort of led astray, and certain spirits around me were talking about gods, warfare, brimstone. I don't know. And I started realizing as my psychic process sort of developed that, hey, some of this stuff might be somewhat true, somewhat real. I know some people view it as like, oh, well, what kind of existence is it? And it's like, okay, but if you still experience it in a certain kind of way, can that not be considered a certain kind of reality? I mean, that's the thing of it. It's brilliant because I sort of saw it. I'm like, oh, the lies they told, all that sort of thing. Meanwhile, there was truths strewn all throughout Storybook, a telling of what's been happening at times. You talk about those mental illness processes, some of them experiencing similar kind of storylines to what I experienced in regards to that topic of discussion, that sort of time period within my life. All right, and yeah, some of the things were affected, and you could see, throughout those moments throughout Storybook, a certain kind of theme, a story, multiple kinds of storylines taking place, some of which relates to my process now and the things that are taking place. Well, that would be why, Alex. Well, that's really it, though. That's what they said. I finally got to a point where I freaked out about some of the events happening, in which was we already talked about this argumentative conversation being blamed in certain ways, and some of that used to be they let know that some of those that used to be Bannerman going a certain direction. There is that sort of, again, that sort of stemming from the events that happened on the 7th, 8th, and 9th, that sort of thing on the 8th, where I noticed that, by way of me prompting certain things in certain areas, certain white light in a certain area, that somebody was vindicated, and not necessarily just, my cousin that made spirit guides, but others, that sort of thing that says a bunch of different, a bunch of different people were sort of, I don't know, left in a certain area. There were certain marches and things of that nature that happened that day. A bit of I don't know. I felt I sensed a bit of a rebellion. So, but there was also a bunch of smoke and mirrors happened to try and cover up some of the legality that was happening there, and some of the points in discussion that was being said there. It's like wrapping, a chaotic blanket that's contained, around a certain point that we need to have understood, and people just being like, look at this blanket, a little bit distracted, but then also the points, still being understood to a certain manner by way of some of the tactics utilized. I mean, that's the thing with him. Yeah, that's the thing with him. Yeah, I admit that one. Yeah. Well, that would be why. Sometimes truth is good. Well, that is correct. All right, well, then that's what you did. That's what you did, Alex. Yeah, I'm going with what you guys indicated. I brought what you guys indicated there. Uh, So I left that room, this office, and it just felt like a bunch of things were happening on Earth. And I took a walk to Willow Beach, and then I came back home. And upon getting just like a quarter of the way to my house, it felt like they started working on me, attacking me in certain manners, attacking multiple people to say that they don't want their lives in some sort of manner when they do. And some of them were said it in certain fashions where it made it seem that way, but some people are just saying like, you want to move on, that sort of thing. It's like I don't know. I felt attacked that day for certain. I don't know what to tell you. Okay, so that would be why, Alex. This is the case. Hmm. Sounds like that sounds like a big legal thing. Friggin' heck. Somebody should situate that. Well, that would be why. Well, that would be it. Oh yeah, legal. That was another one yesterday that was talked about. Talked about a bit was the legal kind of situations. There was certain kinds of things happening with it. And certain things kind of changed, I guess. I don't know, switching up storylines, and all of a sudden events not taking place in a certain way. It's like we need to take a break and that sort of thing. I don't know. I mean, I guess that's that's how it's crazy how that looks at times. There is that. It's brilliant, it's decent, but it also looks a certain kind. It's like we need to take a break, a little bit of spot of tea while we need to stop this war for a second. It's just take a break, and there's some civility in spirit warfare at times. I'm not gonna lie. Well, that would be why. Oh, whatever then. Because you don't know why. So I went for a walk, and on the way back, right outside my doorstep, they were working on me in multiple ways. Like they got me to a point where I felt like, man, I don't know, I just could give up and delete some of my information. I mean, some people were like, and some people were like, no, do not do that. That is not what you want to be doing. And there's been multiple things like that sporadically throughout past 2, 3, 4, 5 days. They've been working on that angle to say like, you don't want this life, you don't want this life, put a spotlight, and you don't want this life. And is that what's happening spiritually? You see it down on a stool, and they're just like screaming at you and yelling. Well, that would be what pretty much. Probably in regards to some of it. I'm out of the guardians that Mace guys need, as well as trust that Mace guys need to be protected, defended, healed, etc. For guys, Mace guys need. Like Fire Light said, Mace guys need, like do what Mace guys need in regards to protecting trust and the guardians that Main Spirit guides needed the way Mace guys need. Well, that was the case of this. Matter for nature to be protected on June 11th, 2019, as well as cops that made you guys think the way you guys needed. I remember I was one of them. I went over to Willow Beach, 2 cop cars pulled up, started talking to each other. It kind of felt like there was like gods of certain kind of god mechanisms being utilized in a certain fashion, certain kind of gods there, and it was weird. It was strange. I'm not gonna lie, and I don't know. There was a switch up. I'm fairly certain. And when I walked home, it was kind of like this, like, oh, we need to go get more. I don't know. We gotta make sure things are all situated. It's just like yeah. No. This is the thing of it. Things are gonna be okay. It's just, I don't know what to tell you, but that's the way it kind of looks now. But I don't know if it is. So that's exactly it. It probably wasn't to be true. It's just like, oh yeah, things are happening, Alex. Don't worry. I mean, this is the thing of it. Well, that would be why. That is the case. That is what happens at times. It's been one of them, sure. They just, say things are decent. I mean, because it kind of looks that way at times, Alex. It looks that way at times. But when we employ that piece, are we not supposed to be protected? I believe that I was protected. Hey, I have multiple times where I'm believing. No, it's just a steady stream of belief that means per guy's indicated. Me believing that I am defending the management guys indicated. Safety beliefs within it. But we need to understand if this is the truth or not. Yeah, give me a belief for that. Give it a name, give it a term. I'll freaking do this, man. Bring it heck. Supposed to be doing a belief, faith, hope, and blessings. All 4 lending towards those that main spirit guides indicated the way you guys needed. What was said and insinuated that it's a decent and they can lend towards certain people's protecting at times, but not all physicals on this physical planet Earth and others from its guides are aware to do some of those energies. There is a percentage in regards to this physical Earth base that makes guys need pertaining to what makes guys need that it wants those that main spirit guides indicated to be doing faith, belief, hope, blessings, etc. to find main spirit guides daily in regards to them and others to find main spirit guides the way main spirit guides indicated. Mark that down in the history books that main spirit guides indicated. Okay, well, that'll be why. There is events taking place though, and Although it's being said that a large portion of Earth is being affected by some of the events that seems to be taking place, that it has been let know that it's smaller percentages here and there, compared to the 100%. It is the true. It is true. But also not so. It's big. Well, it is big percentages. There's whole entire layers that are involved in regards to it. So that is a true. I mean, there is whole entire surfaces and things of that nature, overlaps, stuff like that. That is in regards to that stuff. But there is a certain kind, and I don't know if it's single-digit percentages. I don't know. Like, is it like 10, 20% or 30%, like something like that? Like, I don't know what those percentages exactly are, but far right setting domains guys indicated, like display the statistics that domains guys indicated. Calls upon past process where there was interaction in regards to certain kind of gods and what was happening sometimes, the updates regarding banners and societies and that sort of thing. I mean, that's one of the things. Again, on the 12th, I watched the St. Louis game against Boston Bruins. I discerned something happening there. Again, something to do with doppelganging, I noticed, but I don't know if that's fully a doppelganging. Again, certain spirits, being a certain kind of buffer in regards to your life, taking a hit if somebody attacks you spiritually, some of it. But other buffer isn't, it has to do with certain spirits taking a hit. Some of it has to do with some of its AI. Some of it has to do with technology, certain kinds of equipment. There's a bunch of other stuff too. I mean, we always talk about that live thing, and it doesn't always have to be that. That's what they're doing. They're just throwing equipment at you, Alex. You let it know on this, and that's the case of it. That's the case, Alex. That's what it says. I do believe it does hit home. And there's a reason why they took that line, because they reveal a lot more in the other one that means for guys. And again, it can be a decent. That's the sort of thing where it says you create a content experience regardless of whether they come over here or not. Or then they say, okay, well, then a percentage of us that could come over there comes over there, and that sort of thing. It's a certain kind of situating. It does look a certain kind, but it can be decent and civil in a certain kind of manner if you want lending towards peace, want people wanting to be protected, living quality of life, and that sort of thing. Because that's really it. That was why. That's really it. It's always it at the end of the day, because that's also it. What are we waiting for on that one? Like, that's the case of it. Again, those alternatives that main spirit guides indicated, display those that main guys indicated in regards to this market application, etc. Guys indicated. Put the spotlights on those that main guys indicated in regards to this market application, etc. Guys indicated. Well, that be why my voice is potentially getting attacked right now. Your voice? My voice. Oh yeah, I can just. Yeah, sorry. Display the information that makes guys need in regards to the voices that makes guys need, the way in which guys need. Well, that would be why. Well, that is the case of it, Alex. And you don't know why it is. Oh, that would be why. That was the case, and that was the true. Well, that'd be why. And you know what? Maybe it's bull crap. Maybe my voice is protected. We need to get rid of that mentality. That's the thing. Not rid of, but like just change it up. And again, when I bob my head, I'm doing certain kind of energy placements, mechanisms that I'm able to feel, like beliefs, tangible beliefs being real energies I'm able to feel as a psychic medium. There's a bunch of different stuff. Faith is a real energy, the trust, forgiveness, but also, blessings. I think of blessings, I think of hand areas, but I've been on my head lately. That's true. That's the thing of it. And that's also why, though. I mean, that was the true. Well, that is the case. A little bit of a last raw hob kind of happening throughout the night there. I was getting attacked in a certain kind of manner. Also, some people holding it down in a certain kind of way as well. Again, access to those content experiences and creation of that content experience, technology leading towards those content experiences to be able to play violent video games and things like that. There might be, freaking heck. Some of the banner games in regards to my process have ramped up, and I don't know why they continue to bring it up in a certain manner, but yesterday it was just like there was a hitting home. It was like, oh yeah, that would probably why. There was a let know that somehow two cultures were working together in a certain kind of sense to be able to situate something. And it was let know then, and I sort of looked at it, I'm like, why are they continuing to bring up certain banners and cultures, specifically after I wrote that down? I wrote it down, and it was just all of a sudden everybody was like doing this, and they're saying that, oh well, there's this, the thing. But well, I know there's points you guys are asking for what points you guys need in regards to the Alex James Hislop diary entries that you guys need, as well as the information that you guys need, and the way you guys need. I only want those that you guys needed to view the information that you guys indicate in regards to this market application, etc. You guys needed. Well, that would be why. Huh. Like that's it is. It's a 101 kind of thing, I think. Okay. Yeah, I wrote down original. Yes, original. Present or existing from the beginning, first or earliest, original. So I wrote that down in here, original light. So, what was the earliest light in existence that main spirit guides indicate? The existence that main spirit guides indicate. I just say existence again. That's one of those things. The original light existence. That's another one. You just say it. All right, fine. Well, there's also such thing as non-existence. Well, I think so to a certain extent, but you look at it from that sort of line. And that'll be why. Might have reasons why the original light can traverse on Earth that main spirit guides negated, interact in the dimensional areas that main spirit guides negated, the way main spirit guides negated. Yeah, that would be why. You don't know why. I mean, I kind of feel like that. People are like, oh yeah, but how are they supposed to get past this? I'm like, why can't they just move it over? Well, that would be why. Well, that was the case of it. And on my property, those that main spirit guides negated in regards to the original light have the permission that main spirit guides indicated in regards to 42 Franklin Beach Road, the way main spirit guides indicated in the light. Those that main spirit guides indicated in regards to the properties that main spirit guides indicated, etc. to main spirit guides, that main spirit guides indicated, give the permissions that main spirit guides indicated in regards to those that main spirit guides indicated in regards to the original light, the way main spirit guides indicated in regards to this marking application, etc. to main spirit guides. Ooh. Well, okay, Alex. Now that's the case then. We're going to upload it on YouTube, and it'll eventually be uploaded on other content platforms. That means you guys need the way you guys need it. I do plan on putting it up on other kinds. That means you guys need it. I might do the disclaimer creation. That means you guys need it in regards to what you guys need, what you guys need. So again, the 13th happened. Over here. Yeah, 13th happened. I watched the basketball game. It was fairly decent. It was fairly productive. And I kind of felt like there was these moments where, upon winning certain things in regards to the championship that doesn't even pertain to the NBA, I don't know. I kind of felt like there was certain kind of storylines, a lot of themes, a lot of celebration, a lot of decent, a lot of updates. I kind of felt like in regards to Toronto was kind of how I felt like, and I don't know if it's fully true. A lot of change teams, updates, a bunch of different stuff, parties, a lot of good stuff happening, and it was just really one of those nights. It's like you stand on Earth right now, and I stood on for a bit, but I don't always stand on Earth for long periods of time. Imagine for what means you guys needed regarding the means you guys needed. Let's see here. Six. So I don't know why I didn't write that one down. In which segued to yesterday, which I ran down some of the events yesterday. And that is the 14th, actually, not the 15th. So yeah. Cleaned up and ready to go. I woke up and this was yesterday. I woke up and felt certain aspects of myself have been attacked throughout the night, potentially labeled to be something that wasn't too bad. I'm not certain if there was, attacked and harmed, spiritually abuse, or I feel super lucid upon waking up and the energies around myself thinned in a certain manner after the events that had happened yesterday. With basketball, I did advocations throughout the day to help the situations in which were unfolding, as well as the updates that were happening in a certain manner. I then segued into play certain documents where I was creating. Well, that's also why, though. I was creating where I was creating dimensional placement and dimensional setup information. In regards to Alan Hislop, Ann Hislop, Victoria Bell Hislop, and Bogart, my household family, that means guys needed and others for answer guides. And I'm in the physical anyhow, but I imagine for my household families that manage guys need in regards to this market application text performance guides for the dimensional placement and dimensional setup information that manage guys need to be put into play in the ways Mainsburg guys indicated. So so when I was creating, there was a certain group in a certain kind of panic mode, trying to make it personal, through a bunch of stuff, is what was said. Some of which had to do in regards to myself and others. Something then happened which changed the interaction. Something was said to have been thrown up or happened in regards to myself or others, where it seemed like some spirits were done working against myself, and others didn't have a reason. They kind of looked at something that was said to have been thrown up in regards to my defense, and like, the situation seemed to partially be stemming from earlier events in which something was fired. Uh, Certain events trying to be streamlined in a certain kind of manner. Again, some of this might be stemming from earlier events on the 6th of June, on the 5th of June, 2019, as well as the 11th of June, but also other kinds, some of which have to do with logic placement and thought realms, and which was discerned to not be a part of the plan. There was this thought that's like, wait a second, this is supposed to be happening right now? Like, this is the thing of it. So I don't know what was happening in the streamlining of events to sort of, impact preparation in a certain kind of manner. Again, it's a big preparation year, and that is the truth of it. I and others from Mainspring Guides are advocating for the preparation that Mainspring Guys needed to be displayed, awareness guys needed in regards to what Mainspring Guys needed, the awareness guys needed, life relate setting, the Mainspring Guys needed, like missing the being set to Mainspring Guides do what Mainspring Guys needed regarding it's a start advocation that Mainspring Guys needed, the awareness guys needed. And that's just what it's going to be. Like, this would be why. You are correct, Alex. That's just what it looks like. Certain events taking place potentially within the next 10 years, and I'm wondering what exactly it is. And, I and others from Mainspring Guides look towards those that Mainspring Guides need in regards to the original dimensions and the dimensions that Mainspring Guides needed to employ what Mainspring Guides needed, the Mainspring Guides needed. I think that instant nullification in regards to what Mainspring Guides needed would suffice. I mean, not the way, just instant saving, instant protection, and instant getting rid of those that Spirit Guides indicated if we're going to be attacked. I mean, if that's the case of this, then that's also it. And that's also it. I mean, has some of that attack already commenced this year in a certain manner? I mean, what sort of accords were broken in regards to that sort of thing? I mean, this is the thing of it. Well, that's also it. And we've been sticking with trying to prepare on our end and doing decent on our end. And that's the thing of it. Those that means guys indicating there's a bunch of other psychological manipulations and influencings in regards to others that were sort of brought into the fold to sort of do offensive advocations. Not to say that that's not needed, because it is. Am I for offensive advocation rights? That means guys need to be displayed. Awareness guys need, awareness guys need. You don't know why. This is what you did. And it's not good enough. It's the same answer. If we give a showcase of what I'm talking about here in the defense of my content experience, it means Spirit Guides indicated. It warrants it. It deserves it. I mean, I'm a physical on this physical planet Earth. It's going to be uploaded on multiple platforms. There's a lot of decent events listed, as well as the other spiritual information that means Spirit Guides indicate. That'll be why. That was the case of this. And we already know, what means Spirit Guides indicate. I've already brought it up. I mean, that's the thing. Multiple times on content experiences, and I'm not smiling. It's not. I don't know if I'm. All right, well, then fine. Sometimes a smile isn't smiling, man. Yeah, I hear you. I believe that to be. Friggin' heck. Anyway, it's segued. It was brought up to be linked with past events. Not this here, but the sort of panicking and streamlining of events that Mainspring Guides needed. This segued, and I might have the acceleration and deceleration information to be displayed where Mainspring Guides need in regards to what Mainspring Guides need. We don't want this to be so heightened. Again, my information I create shouldn't be heightened to such a manner. It makes no damn sense. That's the real truth. And hey, for some, if they're getting attacked, harmed, etc., from Mainspring Guides, but then again, that's also it too. A lot of people haven't been looking at what my advocations have been doing, and rather it's the spiritual behind the scenes at times. In fact, some people have been trying to de-heighten that information, like discredit that information to a certain extent while keeping the heightenedness going. I mean, that was the truth. Well, I'd still rather this, the showcase. That's kind of how we felt about it a little bit. All right, well, then that's it, though. The manpower lost. You talk about death and more in regards to some of the information that I create while talking about the information and how it doesn't deserve to have that sort of turbulence around them. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. Like, I think that, I haven't brought that up a lot, but that's one of them. All right. The screaming match. So yeah, this is the thing of this. That moment where in town I was screaming and saying that this is going to be done if that's the case. That sort of thing. And then me running, which I ran home by way of some of the interaction. There was a time where I screamed in town. It felt like a moment of my life. Like this is this is like a live event, like one of those precipices in regards to my life. And that's how I felt about it. Of course, it had to do with what? It had to do with harm, hurt, and suffering. That's what was said. That's what was insinuated. So if it isn't, let's know. Let's know of it for free. Another one had to do with channeling spirit when I was in my bathroom, saying that he needed help, almost like another dimensional self of mine was saying to wake up and do something to get someone's attention. There's also the kitchen memory, which was being explained that there are potentially parts of our lives in which there is turbulence and warfare, battle, and strife, in which are trying to defend ourselves. The memory tab, looks like I'm looking at the kitchen oven while walking past. The screaming match in November 2018 on Metro Road was another one as well. Some of the memories in regards to pause. I and others from which you guys thank those that makes you guys need unpause. Road, it was another one, as well as some of these memories in regards to those said to be working against me in certain capacities. They're potentially are being linked with the events that happened on June 14, 2019 and others to Advocations for Guides, either by way of past, present, future interaction frameworks or other kinds as well. That sort of thing is that sort of thing where something happens in the present and that impacts what happened in the past. Certain spirit can impact. A lot of different interaction having to do with past events. Again, on the highway, not on the highway, on the road, Retro Road, there was a screaming match over in the town when I was screaming again. Yeah, that sort of thing where this live camera kind of feels like it's on you, precipice of your life, kind of like pinnacle. And it's just like, what is happening right now? And that might be one of them. And friggin' heck, I brought that one up, and it was this rolling thunder of just, some of it might have been decent, but then I looked to the other side, it's like some of it might be bad. You don't let know if I'm friggin' heck. Well, that was the thing of it, and that's why. That would be also it. This one has to be one of the worst ones that I've gauged thus far on my end, in regards to certain kind of conflict. If that conflict is, linked together and having to do with certain kinds of people working against me in the future. I mean, that's what it's been said. It's been said they're working against me in the future in a certain kind of way. And I'm not blaming the future in regards to that. We talked about that. That has to be one of those mentality things in regards to me being disgruntled and upset in regards to certain kind of concepts. Of all of them, I kind of think of, future. I mean, I've been a little bit disgruntled and kind of looking at future when there's a lot of people who are helping me in the future. I think that needs to be let know. Talk about a change in the sort of, the mentality and directions here. I mean, for those that means you guys need to be protected. This one has to do with, it's been that. So early firing, some utilization of certain event framework early to potentially impact the future. Again, fire, that sort of thing where they're utilizing certain events and using it earlier on to sort of impact the future. I saw in my room this day, this sort of thing where it was like, looked like futures were impacted. I did an advocation. It's a decent one. It really is. It's one of the, one of our great advocations, starred advocation that Main Spirit Guides indicated, I feel in a certain manner, for what's acceptable being defined by Main Spirit Guides, but one of those ones, where, those whose life path has been affected in regards to June 14th, 2019, in the ways that Main Spirit Guides needed for the information that Main Spirit Guides needed to be spent, where Main Spirit Guides needed to correct what Main Spirit Guides needed, the way Main Spirit Guides needed. Again, there's just unfairness in the mix here in regards to certain people being targeted in certain ways, and some people look at it like that. It's like, you would have been over here on this manner, and then, just now you're over somewhere else. And it's friggin' tragic to see. And that's what they say about you, Alex. Probably. There's probably some stuff like that. I don't mean to be upsetting about it. And that's why some people broke off. And we saw our life over here, and it's just way better than this. Come with us, man. And what about everybody you leave behind? What about them? Because I look at those who already left, and some are already gone and haven't even looked over here since for freaking who knows how long. And, what are we left with down here? What are we like? This is it. We're scrabbling to protect ourselves during peaceful moments, not even receiving some of the protection that we deserve and needed. And this is some of the better area. This is considered a decent area. Jesus! Well, that was correct, though. That is the truth of it. You don't know why. It's just, I don't know. When you guys pack up and leave, can you give us some, something that Main Spirit Guides indicate, some muster? I don't know, God powers, that Main Spirit Guide, I don't know. Give it those that Main Spirit Guides indicated, 13th warrior kind of moment. I'm asking for those that Main Spirit Guides indicate to be protected. The warriors guys need. I'm asking for reasonings why they should be bestowed God power and what Main Spirit Guides indicated, not to be displayed where guys need, the way guys need. Some of it doesn't have to be, well, that would be why. I did say God power that Main Spirit Guides indicated. So I went for a walk. I started the walk partially to be in regards to some kind of situation unfolding. Again, that situation sort of happening, stemming from the document creation, personal, trying to make it personal. And all of a sudden, this sort of like moment where I felt like a certain kind of family were around me in this house and just kicking a bunch of people out of it and just being like, this is it, it's done. And I don't know what to say. I mean, that's quick times on it. But I really do feel like I really do. Like, that's the thing of it. It does feel like that. And some people are like, yeah, but this is the thing. But that's the true. All right, then fine. That one was. I'm certain. I can almost I'm fairly certain. I'm out for the shaping of myself to receive the resources and protection that Mage need. I'm also out for the mentality areas that Mage need to receive the resources that Mage indicated. I feel like, I mean, look like Skeletor here in a bit. I mean, for Frank's sake. Well, all right. Well, you're not going to be that skilled. That would be why. No, you're not, Alex. Freaking heck. It was thought that I was going to be putting 20 documents into play this day, but I actually put more than that into play. Earlier in the day, I put into play AJHD Toronto, AJHD Lake Simcoe, AJHD Keswick, AJHD Sutton, AJHD Newmarket, and AJHD Ontario. I'm adding for conflict management and apocalyptic teams that Mage need to be protected. Mage need light fire lights, and Mage need like doing Mage need regarding the Mage need. When I put these documents into play, there was a stream of people's going elsewhere. But again, it's that sort of thing where I think that some of it's being deployed, and it's looking like a lot of people are leaving an area when like 2, 4, 3, 4, 5 months ago, it's like they're dumped there in a certain kind of manner, and then it's like, so who had to deal with all that mess when all that was dumped there 4 or 5 months ago? Like, Jesus, am I for the disclaimers that Mage need to be just where Mage need the moments that Mage need? Jeebus Christ. Like, come on. I'm adding for resources in regards to those Mage needed. I'm adding for supply in regards to those Mage needed. I'm adding for access in regards to those Mage needed. I'm adding for cargo, robes, and access in regards to those Mage needed. Okay, fine. Near the end of the day, I carried through while putting others into play. Oh, yeah, I'm also advocating for the list of advocations that means for guys needed to be displayed daily in regards to those that means guys need in regards to this market application, etc. So guys, what guys needed. Start advocation. So I put more documents into play. AJHD Knights of Apollo, AJHD Visualization Access, AJHD Alex James Hislop and others survivor camp frameworks, AJHD Alex James Hislop and others survivor camp frameworks utilization. Near the end of the day, I carried through with putting others into play. AJHD Earth-based Dinosaurs, AJHD Triassic Park, AJHD Nemeus Dragon Games, AJHD Tricenis Showdowns, AJHD Grilderos tournaments, AJHD Truthers, AJHD Trade in Dimensional Existences. So yeah, great documents. There was like 5, documents there that had to do with certain kinds of games and things of that nature, showdowns, tournaments, stuff like that can situate. Some of it's content experience stuff. Some of it might be more than that. I have put advocations in play in regards to dimensional creation. I think that's a decent. Again, bodies, atmospherics, etc. Guys, another thing I put advocations into play to sort of help with maybe having alternatives in regards to certain beings, etc. That sort of thing where it's like a certain kind of life utilization alternative for some of them, but some of it's just to be able to gain access to a certain place. Some of it's to be able to have outlets. There's a bunch of different things. Some to situate, things like that. It really pertains to what means for guides indicated, but yeah. And others from Divine Spirit Guides are advocating for the creation of the information that Mage guys needed, the way Mage guys need. Again, that heightening of information, de-heightening of information, quite important at times. That's really it. And again, Marine Spirit Guides information is getting through, so that's a decent. Alrighty then. Well, that'd be why. I'm adding for the small. Well, I am adding for those that Mage guys need to be defended. Mage guys need. I'm adding for the locals that Mage guys need to be protected. Mage guys needed. I'm adding for the lines of existences that Mage guys needed to be given the resources and support that Marine Spirit Guides needed. The Mage guys needed. Well, that's just how someone viewed it, but that's going to be what it is. Okay, I'm going with what these guys indicated, though. That's the case of it. All right. Earth channeled through me, and some of which, Earth. Again, when I stood on Earth, when I slept in my bed, not stood on Earth, when I slept in my bed, I felt this connection with Earth, and it was like, whoa, I got moved upwards. And it looked like some people were trying to say that I was like floating downwards, but I got moved upwards. I'm fairly certain, but also potentially not. I probably also was in a lower area, too. So that's sort of stuff that says that there's certain interactions still taking place in regards to certain spirit, but also that I was located higher up in another area. I felt like more put together, like there was a heightenedness on me, a spotlight, a certain kind of awareness level, like a bigger being behind the scenes. That when you move your face, your head area to the right, it feels light, but then when you move it to the left, it feels a little bit heavier. And psychically, I can feel a certain other dimensional weight on it. Like almost when I move sometimes, I'm moving like bigger beings in other dimensional existences. They might look like the size of Godzilla, but bigger, to a certain extent. Again, those are dimensional existences where it might look like, in the background you see like multiple layers of sort of interaction. What's happening in this dimensional existence, and it's a layer all the way in the background. You can kind of see like a certain kind of interaction happening. That sort of stuff where there's like this layers of stratosphere entertainment, and well, not just entertainment, interaction, windows, seeing stuff, visualizations. I might have visualization to be protected. You guys need it. Yeah, so it was just one of those things where, behind the scenes I might be moving, certain kinds of dimensional beings, some of which are my own. This is one of those ones I equate to my own, but they've attacked him in certain manners at times, and I'm wondering if Earth's getting the protection needed, because again, there's that sort of stuff, that turbulence, battle warfare that's been happening at times in regards to certain spirit of Earth, and Earth doesn't want to be attacked anymore in the manners that many guys indicated. Oh, well, you are correct. That is the thing. Again, transportation, that one, like that is the real true. Alex, I mean, because that's what this is. You guys do it that way, but that's the thing of it. All right, fine. You don't know why. That's what we're doing here. We're going to get together here, see who it is. And that's the case of it. Well, I just say what Spirit Guides indicated in regards to it, and who I'm blaming the way Spirit Guides indicated. Me bringing up an issue as to what we need access to is not necessarily blame. Someone else considers it that, maybe look over there. Maybe that, well, all right, well, that would be why. That would be interesting, Alex, because you don't know why. Some of us don't want to be utilizing blame anymore. Some of us do not want to be attacked in regards to him saying some concepts, non-concepts. Again, process went a certain kind of way, something being masked in regards to certain kind of stealing. Again, a certain kind of speech, mechanism was said to have been stolen in a certain way, and then reliance on channel. But that might be a story thing to try and screw with a bunch of people. Now, I'm for the lifelines that Mage Guys needed to exist in regards to those that Mage Guys needed, the way Mage Guys needed, and others from Mage Guys and Mage Guys needed. People need to be able to speak at times. And that's the thing of it. All right, that would be why. Again, and people are saying like, oh, it's a big show and it's a big thing, but when the lights are off, a bunch of people get the heck out of here. They go somewhere else, and I don't know what else to say about it. I'm out for resources and monetaries in regards to those that Mage Guys needed, Mage Guys needed. All right, well, you know why? Well, that would be why, Alex. Well, that's the case. Well, that was the thing of it. It's what you used to be. Maybe, I don't know. A big thing today as well is the splitting of those that Spirit Guides indicated, needing to stop. Again, the splitting of certain light, the splitting of certain dimensional substance, the splitting of certain kind of machinisms that Guides needed, and spreading certain people across certain areas is scaring the heck out of people. I mean, if we're experiencing certain lives, especially from the God Spark point of view and the others kinds that Spirit Guides indicated, it really does matter what kind is happening to some of them, and that's also it. You don't know why. We need to more than just having to believe in regards to causing to have happen. We need to, like, it shouldn't be that saves us. Some of us don't believe. Some of us aren't able to believe. Well, that was the case. That was the true. That's the thing of this. We need to be able to look at certain issues and be able to talk about them without having it have happen. If I got attacked and that sort of thing, it says, believe they haven't been attacked and you won't be attacked, and not attacked anymore. And I'm just like, oh, well, okay. We still need to be able to take a look at certain things. And you don't know why it is. This is the case of this. All right, people. Yeah, so that's basically, that's some of the stuff that happened. Another thing that happened was a moving of certain items of power and certain kinds of, convoys moving through Earth. It kind of felt like it was moving through me. Another thing I saw was a kind of time situating or interaction situating, as well as, conflict involved in regards to some of it. Where there's a certain conflict happening where it was like, one side was attacking another and another side was attacking another. And every time they did that, they got less time until finally it gets to potentially a new dimensional existence. And then a God hand kind of held it. I felt it in my, like, a certain core, and I felt a God hand holding it and protecting in regards to it. And then there was this kind of like, it kind of went like over to the left and then situated down slope wise. So I don't know what that meant, and I don't understand what that fully means, but hey, it's there. I said it. The interaction's different. I think it's they're not necessarily fighting as much, and they're situated in a certain kind of sense, a certain kind of manner, and that'd be why. And that's what we tried to do, but that was the thing of it. There was also, my water beings that rely on my water intake have been affected and attacked at times. Quality of life in regards to some of them is needed, is important. They said they attacked another one, the one with the gills that main spirit guides indicated. And that was what they insinuated, a certain kind of pop in the, in the lower sacral area near it. And then they said they heard him. Someone insinuated that anyway. So they're moving certain things from me in a certain kind of sense. I'm out of the passengers that Main guys needed to be protected. The Main guys needed, again, transportation was already brought up last, this month. I mean, this is the thing of this. And I'm out for transportation to be protected. The Main guys needed, you don't know why they did all that. They did this for a reason. You understand that they're screwing with both of you for a reason. You know who it is. That's what they said. And I'm out of the doppelgangers that Mage Guys needed and the banners that Mage Guys needed to be protected. Mage Guys needed it. Remember the let notes and information regarding it. There were certain groups pretending to be of a certain banner in a certain manner. And that there are those of certain banners in which operate in a certain fashion. All three sort of, kind of lending towards this, a certain kind of perception and mentality at times that might not necessarily be true. Again, I'm advocating for the information and clarifications regarding it, the way Main Spirit Guides indicated. And those dimensional, documents are in play. The way Main Guides indicated, it helps. It's not the end all be end all. It lends towards, certain things that Main Spirit Guides indicate. Again, the AJH trade and dimensional existences that Main Guides needed pertains to what Main Spirit Guides needed, the way Main Guides needed. So that's basically been this week. It's been fairly hectic at times, a lot of different storylines. And when I close this, when I upload it and close this content experience, I know others from Main Guides are asking for what Main Spirit Guides indicated in regards to the digital that Main Guides need, the way Main Guides need, light, fire, light, segment Main Guides need, like protect Mr. Digital that Main Guides needed, and the digital that Main Guides needed, as well as others from Main Spirit Guides, the way Main Spirit Guides indicated.